All right. Looks like that is functioning as it should. Make sure I can change that. That should work. Okay. Give it a minute. Wait for a couple people to join here. See if I can change that. Maybe not. It's fine. If audio is working for everybody, please let me know. It's going to help me make sure that this whole experience goes a little bit smoother. Because to be quite honest with you, I've never done this before, so we're going to tackle this together and kind of see how it goes over the next, I don't know, however long this is ongoing. So, yeah, there should be just a way to type in the chat. I don't know, just maybe give a heart or something. Let me know that you can hear me, and then we'll start going here and talking about kind of what we're seeing out there. And what we're expecting to see through the next couple of days, because again, we've been talking about the storm system for a while now, really since, I don't know, I guess I made the first video on this about a week ago today, and sure enough, here we are. We're seeing some severe weather, including even some tornado warnings out here into Louisiana today, and likely this is really only the beginning of what is to be a pretty big event. All right, I appreciate you letting me know there in the comments that audio is fine. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in. So anyway, I guess we can go ahead and get started. We've had this up for about 3 minutes, so everyone should have gotten a notification now if they plan on joining, and I'll probably do this for a while now. So again, right now we're seeing some pretty strong storms out here in Louisiana, and those are going to be depicted by these kind of, I guess, pink boxes, if you will, on your map. Those are current tornado warnings, so pretty strong storm moving on through Jenna, Louisiana right now, and we've definitely got plenty of storm chasers out there watching that thing. Right now, nothing too crazy on radar, but definitely a storm very capable of producing a tornado. In fact, it already did a little bit further back near Gorham, Louisiana. And again, I think this general pattern will continue into the night as we continue ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you the overall view right now in terms of national radar, because again, I know many of you are watching from all over the country here as I make videos kind of all over the East Coast. And sure enough, here's that big low pressure system that we were talking about. I was telling you this thing was going to form out here into sections of Oklahoma, into sections of Kansas, seeing that big storm form out here, and again, very strong, flow out of the Gulf of Mexico here, bringing plenty of moisture, plenty of instability into sections of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, seeing some of those storms as well. And if you will give me 1 second here, I'm going to calibrate this just so my pin is kind of showing up where it's supposed to. There we go. That looks much better. Okay. Alrighty. So again, this is that big storm system, and as we move through the next couple of days, this is going to continue to work off towards further areas east into the Ohio River Valley, into the northeast, where we could even see some big-time snow out that way, and I'll definitely make sure to talk about that in this video as well. But again, just to kind of recap, here's this big storm system. We've been talking about this for a while. The big story right now, though, is that severe weather ongoing into Louisiana. So let's go ahead and go back to that and kind of talk about what we're seeing on the ground here. The good news is we are in a little bit of a lull right now in terms of tornado warnings. We only have one right now, but I expect that to change through this evening as we likely get more of these storms to organize as they continue to push off towards sections of Mississippi and just across the Mississippi River in general from Louisiana. So again, we're seeing a lot of wind shear right now as we're getting very strong southerly winds kind of out of the Gulf of Mexico, and then very strong winds out of the west. here kind of overlapping with that combined with plenty high enough dew points, we're getting very strong ingredients for tornado genesis out here into central sections of Louisiana. And we're definitely needing to continue to watch that as we continue into this evening. Alrighty, so now that we've kind of talked about what's going on right now, and again, we do have this one tornado warning, but looking at velocity, this likely doesn't have anything too crazy ongoing, and correlation coefficient, no real defined debris signature there, but definitely you will note here that we are getting some inflow into the storm, so likely definitely rotating, just don't think we're quite getting a tornado on the ground at this moment in time. So that very well could change and likely will change, and we also again have storms kind of firing off here further to the south, south of Alexandria, Louisiana, seeing some of these kind of baby supercells, if you will, continue to fire up and continue to work very quickly off to the north and east. So at any moment, any of these could become tornado warned, and should that happen and we get a bit more of a well-defined storm system here, we'll definitely zoom back into that. But really quickly, I do want to again zoom out and just kind of take you through what we're expecting over the next couple of days with this storm system. So our latest European model here, as for the next couple of days, let me go ahead and back this up some. Again, here's that low pressure continuing to develop. By the time we get into later tonight and into early tomorrow morning, we're going to have a big old wind show for a lot of folks out here into the southeast and into the Ohio River Valley. So definitely expect to see very heavy rainfall and plenty of strong winds as this low pressure continues to strengthen and continue to deepen, and still expecting, severe weather overnight into sections of Mississippi, even into Alabama early tomorrow morning, before the next place that really needs to keep their eye open for some severe weather is into the Carolinas and Georgia tomorrow afternoon, where once again, much like today, we'll have plenty of warm Gulf and Atlantic moisture overlapping with very strong winds coming on the backside of this low pressure. And we could even have some more localized kind of weather events that help to set up that chance for severe weather tomorrow that I'll talk about here later on. But again, that swings on through much of the East Coast tomorrow afternoon and evening, and that's when snow breaks out into sections of the Northeast. So for you folks in Vermont, New Hampshire, even potentially parts of Massachusetts and much of Maine, getting a lot of snow out of the storm system before it finally kind of moves offshore going into our Thanksgiving Day morning. So for Macy's Day Parade, again, looks pretty nice up there in New York City, although it could be a little gusty, so we'll have to watch that with some of those balloons, but I definitely think rainfall at least begins to move on out of the way and bring much nicer weather for a lot of folks. So definitely some good news there. Now, let's go ahead and dive into today's severe weather threat a little bit more from our Storm Prediction Center outlook. And again, looking at kind of the day one panel here, let me actually go ahead and zoom this in a little bit of a nicer way if it's going to let me here. We'll see what it lets me do. That's not the best. So, we're actually going to go to the Storm Prediction Center's website itself, make this a little bit easier on us. So, again, we have an enhanced risk currently up for much of central Louisiana, and that extends all the way here into central sections of Mississippi as well, seeing some of that shot at seeing some stronger storms, including the threat of a tornado. So if we kind of look at the tornado map here, we actually have a hatched 10% area. What that means is we have a higher than average likelihood of seeing strong tornadoes, meaning EF2 or higher here for a lot of areas. And again, that threat continues into the overnight tonight as well for, again, much of Louisiana back towards Jackson, Mississippi, and that wind threat also persisting through much of that area as well. Now, once we get into tomorrow, that's whenever we get kind of a new area to look out for from kind of the Gulf Coast of the Florida Panhandle all the way up through the I-85 corridor into the Carolinas and back towards even eastern North Carolina, having that chance of some strong to severe storms tomorrow, including the threat of tornadoes once again. So best shot at seeing a tornado tomorrow, likely into sections of the Florida Panhandle, southern Alabama, but also don't let your guard down here in the Carolinas and Georgia because we will have plenty of ingredients as well in this part to also see some tornadoes. Now, it's going to be a pretty classic setup for this time of year in this part of the country. We're going to have plenty of wind shear. The big question is, though, do we get any instability? So if you're hanging out maybe in Greenville or Columbia, South Carolina, down towards Athens, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, into much of North Carolina, the sun tomorrow, as much as you might think it is not going to be your friend, as that likely will only lead to a higher chance of seeing strong to damaging a storm. So our latest high-resolution rapid refresh model, I think, does a pretty good job at kind of depicting this overall threat going into tomorrow afternoon. So Well, that didn't work. That kind of brought the screen back up. Anyway, so again, going into tomorrow morning, expect some of that rain through much of the Carolinas and Georgia before likely we see a pretty potent line of storms move on through during the afternoon hours tomorrow, and that's whenever we could see the chance of a couple tornadoes spin up here right along this front as it's barreling through sections of Georgia and the Carolinas. Now, the best shot of seeing that, again, is kind of going to be along the I-85 corridor and south into the I-20 corridor here, just because that's where we're going to have the best overlapping of wind shear and instability. So further north of there, kind of into the western North Carolina area, into the mountains there, likely lower chance of seeing strong storms just because we're going to have very calm, stable conditions at the surface, and that's really going to prevent many storms from growing into that tornado potential tomorrow afternoon before finally going into the overnight on Tuesday and into our early Wednesday hours. Things really calm down, and we really just have some scattered rain by the time you're waking up Wednesday morning, especially in the eastern Carolinas. But overall, much nicer day Wednesday, and then Turkey Day itself should be really nice for a lot of folks here in the East Coast. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and zoom back here towards Louisiana a little bit and see what kind of we're getting here with some of these storms. I'm going to stop the loop here and just look at what's happening right now. So again, we're definitely seeing some rotation in here, and this is going to be right near Nebo. Let me actually make sure you can see what I'm looking at here. Back here towards Nebo, Louisiana. So again, just kind of familiarize ourselves with where we're at. This is right in pretty much the heart of Louisiana here, going off to the north and west, or excuse me, north and east there of Alexandria, Louisiana, back towards the Jenna, Louisiana area, back towards Jonesville, kind of some of those communities here under the gun here. And you'll notice we definitely have some inflow into the storm right over Nebo, Louisiana, and we're getting that outflow on the backside. What we're seeing is kind of, you'll notice how these two arrows are going to really work in tandem here to cause some vorticity and spin there, and that is what we really have to watch for the chance of potentially a tornado to form here. So looking at velocity, definitely some spin here. Again, you'll notice kind of on velocity some of those different colors wrapping around each other here in this storm. So definitely the signs of some rotation. Looking at correlation coefficient, not seeing anything too crazy here. Again, a lot of this is just kind of clutter, so just ignore this general section right here on the storm. But looks like the latest update from the local National Weather Service office here is they're going to drop the tornado warning on this guy and move that to a severe thunderstorm warning. So definitely some good news there. Right now, seeing kind of the threat die down a little bit. But again, the day is still very young here. We're only at 4:45-ish. This likely will uptick, especially really got to watch some of these storms off to the south. So kind of down here south of Alexandria, where we're seeing this storm near Willow Glen, back near Collin, Louisiana, north of Chambers, Louisiana. Definitely need to watch storms like this. Very pronounced kind of kidney bean shape, if you will, and that tells us a couple things. One, the storm's definitely gaining inflow and likely outflow as well, and that's what's kind of causing that bent shape in the storm here, and that is what's likely leading to a lot of this rotation in these storms. Now, obviously, you'll also notice the storm is a lot smaller, maybe a lot less mature than maybe some of these storms off to the north, but nonetheless, still have to watch these guys because every storm kind of starts small. It's, you know, really important where they end up though. So again, multiple supercells out here, even if they're small here. Some bigger storms like we just looked at, the one near Jenna, and also back towards Colfax, seeing kind of embedded supercells along this line of storms, continuing to push off through sections of Louisiana here. So again, really need to continue to watch that as we move ahead throughout much of the night. Alright, so if y'all will, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It's really going to help me kind of, do a better job of kind of discussing where we need to discuss here, and I'm going to check some of those comments here as well. Chuck saying he needs some snow and lots of it in New York, and please with sugar on top. Well, I appreciate you adding please there at the end. We can definitely take a look at kind of that snow chance up there into sections of New York. Definitely up into the Adirondacks and into upstate New York, the best shot at seeing that snow. So let's go ahead and kind of zoom on over to that really quickly while we're in a little bit of a lull here in Louisiana. So Moving this up, let's go ahead and zoom right in on New York State itself. We'll use our latest high resolution. Actually, let's use the NAM just because it's going to go a little bit further out and make this a little bit easier on us. So again, pretty nice day today, as well as really much of the first half of tomorrow up here, but it's going into tomorrow afternoon and evening up here into upstate New York. That's when things likely go downhill. So could even see some ice on the front end, especially in those higher elevations here, back towards sections of Pennsylvania, up here into the mountains of New York. Really got to watch this precipitation overlapping with cold air that we already have in place. It could definitely lead to some ice and even some snow. So I think really the best shot of snow here is going to come kind of going into overnight on Tuesday, and it's really going to especially have that best shot back up here into northeastern New York State, kind of north of Albany, back towards the Vermont border. So again, there's going to be a bit of a kind of gradient here. So likely much of New York State going to be seeing rain tomorrow evening, and then that is eventually going to turn to ice the further north and east you get, and eventually a full-blown snow back towards sections really close to the border there of Vermont, having the best shot at that snow. So again, definitely plenty of snow falling here, and could even, stay snow maybe even on the back end here going into Wednesday afternoon, maybe some back end snow showers. Looking at kind of snowfall totals here, we'll kind of see what our latest model guidance is showing here in terms of snowfall. So again, I think going here at the front end of the storm, those highest elevations could get a good 3 to 5 inches of snow here, definitely possible. What we have to watch out for, though, is at the end, does that change back to rain, and how long can we hold on to the snow? So could definitely be very pretty for a little while out there before likely, unfortunately, changes back to rain for a lot of people. But one thing I will say, kind of looking at the long range after just this storm, going into later November and into kind of the start of December here, could definitely see some more chances at some snow for much of this part of the country as that subtropical jet really cranks up, and we'll have to watch for more storm systems to kind of cross the country here going later on into this month. So just to kind of show that here on our latest European model, this is that big storm system we're dealing with this weekend, or I should say this week, really, not really this weekend. Before, again, a bit of a lull for Thanksgiving Day itself, but likely after that, more storm systems kind of riding up the coast here. So you'll notice maybe going into the weekend right after Thanksgiving, maybe another storm system up into the northeast. That could bring some snow, definitely, for sure. And, going after that, again, maybe a couple other storm systems kind of try to work on through. So definitely need to watch that, but definitely seeing the signs that maybe winter weather season kind of could really start to pick up here in the near future. So definitely looking out for that. Alrighty, watching from north central West Virginia. Well, a place like West Virginia, really going to be a lot of rain here, but also could see some windy conditions. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit as well here, going into the next day or so. So taking a look at that wind and those conditions, if I can get my map to load here for us. Here we go. So again, going into tonight and into tomorrow, look at these winds out here for you folks in the Appalachian chain, into sections of West Virginia, just like you're talking about here. Wind gusts going to get very strong here. So I think even we probably have, and I can check this really quickly, we probably have some wind advisories up for you folks here. And yep, sure enough, we have wind advisories through much of North Alabama, Central Tennessee, up the Appalachian chain into West Virginia, back down towards the mountains of North Carolina, Northwest Georgia. They are getting in on some of those wind advisories as well. So again, all of this is from this storm system. It's going to continue to crank up, continue to strengthen, and continue to ride up the Appalachian chain here. And with that, tomorrow afternoon, again, these gusts getting up well into tropical storm strength. So this is nothing to joke around about. Could definitely have some power outage issues here into sections of West Virginia there, into the higher terrain, all the way back down towards Kentucky here, into the mountains of southwest Virginia, western North Carolina, and again into North Georgia. A lot of wind energy with this system, as I talked about, and those winds continue to ride up the Appalachian chain going into overnight Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. And again, luckily, kind of clear out and calm down a little bit by the time we're waking up on Thanksgiving morning, but still could have some gusty conditions up in the northeast. And definitely need to watch out for that Thanksgiving Day parade there in New York City. So again, very interesting stuff there, and also just kind of proves how wide the impacts are going to be with this storm system. Not just today with those storms we're seeing in Louisiana, but also that severe weather threat tomorrow, and likely continuing into our rest of the week. So definitely need to watch out for that. All right, taking a look back at Louisiana now, where again we still have some ongoing severe weather we kind of need to take a look at. Right now, not really anything tornadic going on. We do have one tornado warning, but that is likely to expire here in a couple minutes. But also definitely some hail with these storms as well. You'll kind of notice that with this very bright pink and purple color showing up on your map here. Definitely going to see some pretty large hail with these storms. All right. Pickens in the house. Love to see it. Love to see some hometown folks watching. Alrighty, so let's kind of take a look at this new severe thunderstorm we have crossing the border from Texas into Louisiana here. Definitely looks like some relatively impressive structure with this guy. Definitely getting that kidney bean shape here as that outflow wrapping around and that inflow wrapping in here into sections of this storm. And kind of loop this a little bit, see kind of where the storm has come from and where it's going. Yeah, definitely kind of started as a little bit of a weaker storm back towards Newton, Texas, crossing the border into Louisiana now, though, where we definitely have plenty of instability and wind shear. So that's why this guy's getting severe thunderstorm warned right now. And taking a look at velocity on this one, just to kind of see what we're seeing in terms of that. Nothing too crazy showing up on radar, but again, you kind of get the general idea here. That winds are blowing this way into the storm and then blowing the opposite way outside of the storm. That's where we kind of get that vorticity here in between. So definitely need to watch to see if those colors kind of tighten up a little bit, maybe get a little bit brighter here, but definitely a rotating supercell there. Just right now, not enough to tornado warn it, but definitely seeing some large hail. In fact, looks like quarter size and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are the main hazards with this storm. But again, moving into a very unstable section here of Louisiana into the southern tier here, kind of into the Opelousas area up near Marksville, Louisiana, and Oberlin, Louisiana. And let me tell you another thing about Louisiana. Pronouncing the names out here are crazy difficult. There's a lot of places in the United States that have weird names, but Louisiana has such a heavy French background that there's some very interesting names out here. And something you might not have known, Louisiana calls their counties parishes too. Only state in the country to not call them counties, at least to my knowledge. But so all parishes out here in Louisiana, so always kind of interesting there, and definitely need to get some practice on pronouncing some of these town names. But this is a great time to do it, so definitely watching that. Alrighty, let's kind of take a look at radar in some other places. We actually have some strong storms back towards Oklahoma as well. These are just some severe thunderstorms, though. Nothing coming in at tornado strength or anything right now, but likely all of this is going to just be some large hail. And yeah, look at these storms out near southeastern Oklahoma here near the Red River Valley. Definitely seeing some large hail. In fact, the National Weather Service here going with quarter size on this storm, but honestly probably could be getting a little stronger than that. And the reason we're seeing that, going to nerd out a little bit here and tell you some meteorology behind that, is all going to be because of this storm system itself. So this guy's wrapping in plenty of very cold air aloft. And what I mean by that is at the surface, it might be, in the 60s here, maybe even, 70s or 50s. But right above you, it's really not that much above freezing. So that hail, as it continues to kind of go up in these updrafts here in southeastern Oklahoma, with those strong updrafts, as that hail is falling back down, it's really just not having enough time to melt, as that freezing layer is just so close to the surface. That's definitely leading to that shot of, some very large hail. So definitely watching that back towards that section of the country as well. Alrighty, so again, definitely still watching these storms out in Louisiana. While we're still not seeing too much here, I'm going to go ahead and discuss some of that severe weather threat into the Carolinas tomorrow a little bit more. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Carolinas for tomorrow. Again, I definitely think we have a shot at some severe weather, including the threat of a couple tornadoes, and I'll tell you why that is here in just a moment. Let me pull up the model data here, the latest runs we have of some of these models. I'm going to use temperature icon there, and also need to hit that button, sorry. And then, of course, also going to use reflectivity. So I actually change that to wind barbs as well. Alrighty, so for the Carolinas tomorrow, again, what we're really going to have to watch for is a pretty classic setup that we see here pretty often in the Carolinas. And although precipitation map is going to be important for that setup, more importantly here is going to be temperatures. So what we're going to see overnight tonight and into early tomorrow is a bit of a cold air damming effect. So again, all that cold air we're seeing in the northeast right now, that's going to lead to some wintry weather, is likely going to kind of ride down the Appalachian chain here and get backed up against the mountains here into sections of kind of the I-85 corridor into upstate South Carolina, northeast Georgia, back towards the Charlotte metro. So what this cold air does is, one, it does stabilize a lot of folks. So again, the mountains tomorrow, likely not seeing much severe weather, really even north of the I-85 corridor, pretty low shot at seeing severe weather, but it's just south and along this line that we really have to watch for some localized vorticity to really spin up here. So oftentimes what we see with that kind of setup, let me put that back on the map here for you, is a very strong temperature gradient. So anytime you get a strong temperature gradient, what you have is winds that really pick up and kind of move towards each other to flatten out that gradient. The Earth is always trying to balance itself back out, and this is a great example of it. So when you get those winds very strongly kind of moving towards each other, it makes spin very easy to happen here. And a lot of the times when we see these tornadoes in upstate South Carolina and into the foothills and Piedmont of North Carolina, it's in setups like this where, again, plenty of times we see tornado warning. So from the Storm Prediction Center right now, only a 2% shot of seeing those tornadoes forming tomorrow. And I can pull that up for you here really quickly, going into our day 2 tornado panel. And I can even move this off to the southeast just so it's a little easier to see. Again, the best shot of ingredients tomorrow back towards southern Alabama, but localized ingredients definitely could be picked up on here into the I-85 corridor of upstate South Carolina and into sections of North Carolina as well. And again, the timing on that likely is going to be really right during the afternoon hours, kind of right near rush hour as well. So this is going into about 2-3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. You'll notice this line of storms kind of moving on through, and anywhere that it catches that gradient or that differential heating boundary is where we could see some localized spin-ups in this line of storms, and definitely also the threat maybe we get a storm to kind of fire up here in front of that line and form into the upstate. So definitely need to watch out for that and have a way to get those warnings tomorrow as that line is moving on through. The good news, though, again, by the time we get into overnight Tuesday into early Wednesday morning, could definitely see some rain left over, but I really think by the time sun rises on Wednesday, most of that rain back towards the eastern Carolinas, and we should have a pretty good day before Thanksgiving if you have to get any last second shopping done for, any of your Thanksgiving festivities. So definitely watching out for that. All right, moving back towards Louisiana here a little bit. Again, really having to watch these storms. Definitely seen some pretty big hail in this storm out here as well, kind of crossing the Mississippi River now, going across the border from Louisiana into Mississippi. Some large hail likely up near probably quarter, maybe even ping pong size hail. And this storm is moving quick too. It's booking it eastbound at 55 miles an hour. So definitely not one of those storms you kind of want to let sneak up on you. In fact, out here near Clayton, Louisiana, and even into Churchill, Mississippi, as this is crossing the border, probably only about 15-30 minutes till it reaches that way, just due to how quick the storm is moving. Good news, though, right now, definitely not seeing anything too tornadic with this guy, but it is likely going to get there again. We're seeing plenty of merging cells kind of ride up into this, and you'll notice some of these cells coming out of the south and west very quickly towards this main cluster of storms. And we're definitely in that Goldilocks zone right now. So anywhere kind of in this part of Louisiana and now working into Mississippi, these ingredients has the best shot at seeing a tornado, maybe even a strong one here within the next couple of hours and even into the overnight as well. Sun sets so early now that those ingredients will still be around for tornadoes well into the overnight hours going into Mississippi. So definitely watching that as we move ahead here. All right, read some of these comments here. Cloud cover for the full moon on the 27th. Okay, let's check on that really quickly. Going to have to change models here and switch this back out to a national scale. Alrighty, so 27th of November, that is, let's see how many days away is that? About a week away. Definitely potential for maybe a couple storm systems, maybe even a front crossing, so it could be a little cloudy if we just look at cloud cover itself, which isn't always the best to use in scenarios like this far out, but looking at about a week away. Right now, it looks pretty cloudy. You could see a storm system kind of crossing the coast here into the eastern half of the country. Let me check the GFS See what that's showing. Any differences here on 12Z? Yeah, still kind of looking like maybe some kind of storm system moving ahead. And honestly, it's going to be a pretty common theme here, I think, going into the end of November. If we look from our Climate Prediction Center, looking at precipitation over the next 6 to 10 and even 8 to 14 days, again, a very high likelihood that we kind of ramp up some of these precipitation numbers along the southern tier of the country as that El Nino pattern really sets in. So from Florida back towards Texas up into much of the southeastern states, seeing a lot of rainfall pretty likely here over the next week or two here into the southern tier of the country. So again, definitely kind of a good thing, though, because honestly, this drought has been so bad recently that we really could use some of that rain here going into the next week or two. And honestly, even down here in Louisiana, we've got pretty bad drought conditions. So I know we hate to see the severe weather with it, but it's very important that we get some of that rain fall as well. Alrighty. Looks like we've got about 7 to 10 people watching right now, so not bad for the first time we've done this. Definitely appreciate that. If you're just now joining us, let me know where you're watching from so I can kind of discuss what your impacts might be with this big Thanksgiving storm that we're seeing. And this is pretty similar to last year, too. We had a pretty big storm about this time of the year, and as many of you also remember, going into Christmas, we had that crazy cold front across much of the country, and that brought really cold temperatures. Where I live in upstate South Carolina, we got down into the single digits, wind chills below 0. So again, that was a really potent front. Could see something like that this year. Again, El Nino, you never know what's going to happen. Going to be plenty wet enough across much of the East Coast and southern tier of the country. The question is, though, do we get some of that cold air to funnel down out of Canada going into kind of the start of December? And if that is the case, definitely could see some very strong winter storms move on through. Alrighty, so again, still seeing these storms kind of move in through Louisiana. Nothing tornadic right now, just dealing with a couple severe thunderstorm warnings into Louisiana, now moving into Mississippi and back even towards Oklahoma. We've got a couple of those red boxes for some large hail that's falling. So yeah, let's take a look back at kind of the national view here of that kind of radar that we're seeing at the national level. Again, just a big time storm system swirling away. Very easy to spot this low pressure back towards Kansas. And that pulling up plenty of Gulf moisture, bringing lots of rain and plenty of turning of the winds here. Seeing some of those severe thunderstorm warnings be created because of that. So again, very, very impressive stuff here. And the good thing is the models kind of were all over the place with the storm, but they definitely locked onto it pretty well. And, we've been forecasting this for about a week now. It's definitely unfolding. I talked about the severe weather threat, I think, even a week or so ago as well, which is definitely, good that we had that heads up before the storm really got even close. How's South Florida? Let's check in on South Florida. I guess what we could do is just go ahead and look right at Florida. Looking at the next couple of days in South Florida. Let's change this to 18Z. Reflectivity. Alrighty, let's see what we got for South Florida here. No, it keeps doing that. That's unfortunate. Okay. All right, so South Florida, again, pretty nice right now. Definitely some showers moving on through. I think really the best shot at rain here likely coming Tuesday overnight, but the kind of good news here for Florida is this front is so far to the north that not too much uplift here in the atmosphere. So it could stay relatively dry, and honestly, the rain chances here likely being delayed till about Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and into maybe even Thanksgiving Day itself. So again, nothing too crazy there. Maybe, some thunderstorms definitely, but I don't think anything too severe, just likely lacking some of that wind shear this far south. So pretty good Thanksgiving there for South Florida. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Let's see, what time is it? 5:05. I'll also warn you, likely my webcam will probably die here relatively soon. I've yet to figure that out. I think there's like a charging station you can get or something like that. Again, I haven't, really felt the need to invest in that yet. So we'll see if maybe we need to. Worst comes to worst, if it dies, I'll just turn it off for a little bit and you can just stare at the map and hear me talk. And let it charge up a little bit more and plug it back in when, hypothetically things kind of pick back up here in Louisiana. Alrighty, so again, definitely still seeing some of those storms move on through areas further north back towards Arkansas. Not really seeing anything in the way of severe weather right now. We'll see if the map loads here. Really just some good old-fashioned rain. So a lot of rain falling here along the Mississippi River Valley from Memphis up towards the Paducah area of Kentucky, and really just all of eastern Arkansas here, getting in on some really nice rain that is much needed for a lot of areas. And again, we saw that on the national map as well. A lot of people getting in on some of that rain right now. All right, still, I really think the best shot at seeing any kind of, tornado potential right now. There's a couple different storms we're watching here in Louisiana. I'll go ahead and circle the ones I think that have the best shot right now of producing any sort of tornado. Definitely this one that's severe warned, kind of moving into Louisiana right now. We've still got this big time storm back near Jonesville, Louisiana, continuing to cycle. So could potentially get back to that stage of producing a tornado right now. More of a hail and straight line wind threat. And then also this kind of storm off just to the south and west of there, looking kind of interesting. Take a look at that on velocity. Yeah, definitely seeing some rotation in there. Likely still some winds coming into the storm here and then going out on the backside. So definitely seeing some spin there. Again, nothing too crazy though in terms of on the ground rotation, more at the mid-levels. Alrighty, so also why we have a little bit of a lull right now from kind of the Louisiana storms. We're going to talk a little bit about the channel and kind of what plans I have in the future here going into the rest of this month and just moving ahead in general, going into December to end out the year here and also to start next year. So definitely got some pretty big plans here. All right, so again, we're at about 1,600 subscribers now, which is super cool. Yesterday was 1,600, now it's I think 1,599, so we managed to lose one overnight, which unfortunate, but is what it is. Again, though, I'm trying my best to upload a little more regularly here. We've definitely had, we've done pretty good on the past couple videos. So I think last week we were averaging about between 500 and 1,500 per video. So that was definitely pretty good. Good to get the word out on the storm system. And now that it's actually happening, also good to kind of get some live information out there as well. Now, in terms of the rest of the year, I would love to do more things like this. We really just need the weather to kind of cooperate, though. If there's not much to talk about in a live sense, there's not much of a need to do this. It looks like the webcam just went out on me, so we'll give that a second to charge. And we will go ahead and turn that off just so you don't have to look at it. So you're just going to have to listen to me for a little bit here. All right, so again, I'd like to do more things like this in the future. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what the weather does going ahead. And I really think this winter could be pretty special for a lot of folks here in the East Coast. It's really got, looking at future maps, it's got all the potential to be a really impressive winter. Just kind of need the ingredients to line up a couple times for us to really cash in on some of these storms. And we'll see if that happens. I definitely think it will. It can't be really much worse than last winter was. If you remember last winter, really just a whole lot of nothing going for really just about everybody all winter long here, at least in the East Coast. So definitely hoping for a better winter here. Again, as for goals, I'd love to maybe get to 1,700, 1,750 subscribers by the end of the year. I think that'd be pretty good. I remember talking to people at the beginning of the year, and I said, I'd just like to hit 1,000 by the end of this year, and we've already overshot that by a pretty impressive amount. So that's definitely some good news, and we'll hope to continue that growth here. And let me turn off the webcam on this map as well, and why that kind of reorientates itself a little bit. But yeah, so again, very impressive year, and all of the thanks goes to you guys for that. Again, really couldn't do it without you. At the end of the day, you're the one watching the videos, and I'm just the one kind of sitting here talking in front of a camera. So, there's only so much I can do. It really all comes down to you guys and all the time you take out of your day to watch me, and I really do appreciate that. Alrighty, so looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning here into sections of Mississippi. Kind of crossing the border right into Vicksburg here. Let's see if, I'm not sure if we're on the closest radar site here. Yeah, here we go. Probably going to switch over to Jackson's radar site to look at this storm here. I'll give that a second to load and see what's kind of ongoing here into Vicksburg. Alright, here we go. So, yeah, definitely seeing a pretty strong storm here near Tallulah, Louisiana, crossing the Mississippi River right into Vicksburg. Obviously known, a pretty big city there in Louisiana. Vicksburg is known for some pretty interesting history, to put it lightly. But yeah, no, definitely, wow, we're definitely seeing some pretty impressive signature on radar with this guy. Let's back this up a couple frames, kind of see, where this one has come from. And yeah, definitely starting to wrap up a little bit on this guy. So they just put out the severe thunderstorm warning, moving east at 45 miles an hour. The storm is up to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and nickel-size hail are possible with this storm. And if you look at velocity here, yeah, definitely starting to see some signs of some rotation here. Very strong winds coming in on the backside here. Again, likely in excess of some of those severe warning criteria, and that's why we're getting the warning. But also, very strong inflow, so we're likely seeing some pretty impressive mesocyclone here, right near Richmond, Louisiana, and near Tallulah, Louisiana. Seeing some of that going forward. Good question, Pam, about the class credit there. It's a really good question. No, so I do not get class credit for this. In fact, this is kind of something my professors know I do it, and they're very proud of me for it, and encourage me. But no, I do not get class credit. I would need kind of an internship to get class credit, so I'm definitely hoping to do that sometime within the next year or two. But also only a sophomore right now, so plenty of time to work on some more class credit things. Still really early in my meteorology studies, I guess, if you will, and really just now getting into the exciting stuff. I had to survive a year of maybe not such exciting stuff, but just taking some math classes and some chemistry, which I will never forgive chemistry for the mental damage it gave me. But definitely good to get through things like that. And so next semester I get to take thermodynamics, which if you don't know what that class is, that really is just going to kind of teach me a lot about really, I guess, some of the meteorology behind the atmosphere through the layers of the atmosphere. So that'll really help my forecasting abilities for things like this, for severe weather, for snowstorms, kind of learning about different temperatures at different heights in the atmosphere, and plenty of other things. So really great question there. Yeah, thanks for asking that. And if any of you have any questions about me, a lot of my videos I'm kind of just talking about the weather. So this is a great time to, maybe learn about me a little bit too. If you have any questions there, I'll definitely do my best to answer those for you. And again, definitely watching these storms out in Louisiana as well. If any of you are in Louisiana watching me, or Mississippi, let me know. It'd be super cool to know kind of where everyone is watching from. We've got some people watching from South Carolina, West Virginia, New York. Had somebody tuning in from New York, which is super cool. And that's one of my favorite things about doing this channel too, is getting to kind of hear about all the different places people live, kind of what they do, and we've all kind of got a story on, I guess, why the weather is interesting to us. So if any of you have maybe a story like that, I'd love to hear it. Always exciting to hear that. And I appreciate that, Pam. It means a lot. So, and thank you for taking time out of your day too to watch it. It's definitely it means a lot to me to kind of go back and see some of the views some of these videos get. It's super exciting. I remember. Not that I'm old, I'm still very young, but I remember, 5-10 years ago as even much younger child than I already am, kind of dreaming about something like this, and now I wake up every day and kind of live it. So super exciting stuff, and, what's the craziest thing I've seen storm chasing? Good question. I can actually pull that up here because I have video of it on the channel. Let's see here. Alrighty, so if you don't already know about this, I've got multiple playlists on the channel, so definitely check out some of these. I just added the live forecast playlist because this is the first time we're doing this, so that's definitely cool. Taking a look at some of the storm chasing things I've done, I have a playlist for that entitled, you guessed it, Storm Chasing. We'll see if it loads or not. Here we go. Alrighty, so I've got plenty of videos in here, and it kind of goes in chronological order of all the storm chasing I've done, just because it's off upload order. So the first storm chasing I ever actually did was some winter storm chasing, funnily enough, on my birthday. Well, I guess technically the first one wasn't on my birthday, but really one of the first ones on my birthday there. That was super exciting. But I would say probably the coolest thing I've storm chased was this funnel cloud. This was in, let me think, where did I take this? This was in Polk County, North Carolina, this past June. So June 27th, I think, is whenever this happened. But again, this is kind of what we're seeing out in Louisiana today. So a great example, you'll notice here in the video, this mesocyclone definitely rotating here. So you'll kind of watch the rotation on that side and then kind of rotating back the other way. And because of that, if you get enough of that to kind of funnel down to the ground, you'll get what I found here on this day, which was a pretty impressive funnel cloud beginning to form there. Just kind of over this open North Carolina field just north of the South Carolina border. And this was a super short-lived funnel cloud, but still super cool. And I actually had an article written on this storm, so if that's something you're interested in reading, definitely consider going and reading that. It's in the description here of the video. So again, all sorts of different storm chasing videos here on the channel, and I'll be out storm chasing tomorrow as well. So hopefully we get some more content there going forward into the end of the year. Still yet to see a tornado this year. Funnily enough, my parents have seen a tornado and I have not. Really funny story there that I'll save for another time. But that was quite a day. That was quite a day, and I'm sure they get a kick out of it and they laugh at it. But it was very funny. I was storm chasing, and sure enough, as I'm out storm chasing on the only storm that had a tornado warning that day, my mom calls me up and tells me there's a tornado right in front of our house, which of course at first I laughed at until I realized she wasn't lying. So again, very interesting stuff there. But I'm sure I'll see a tornado before all is said and done, maybe before the year's over. Again, I think tomorrow, I-85 corridor of upstate South Carolina into northeast Georgia has got a shot definitely at seeing some of those strong to severe storms. All right, weather for Kansas City Eagles game. We can definitely take a look at that as well in Kansas City tonight. The game is, honestly, I'm willing to bet it's probably raining there right now. So we can definitely, take a look at that. So looking at national radar, you can see that pretty well. Again, a lot of folks getting rain out of this thing. So that big spin out here into right on the border, really right near Kansas City right there is where we're seeing that spin. So likely very breezy conditions through a big chunk of the middle part of the country tonight. So maybe not kind of the night to throw the ball or kick the ball in Kansas City. You might want to, definitely watch the ground games tonight. Could be interesting out there, but definitely pretty rainy out there. And gusty. So and those conditions will continue to move off to the east through the next couple of days before finally Thanksgiving Day itself looks really nice. Now, while we do still have a bit of a lull here in Louisiana, actually, before we talk about something else, let's take a look at this Vicksburg storm one more time, because again, I am a little concerned that this guy could wrap up here within the next couple of minutes. Definitely starting to get that look on radar. Again, if you're just joining us, I see viewer count's starting to get up kind of into the double digits now, past 10. So super cool there. Looks like we got about 13 people watching now. So that's super cool. Again, very strong winds kind of wrapping on the backside of the storm near Tallulah, Louisiana, and getting very strong inflow as well, kind of coming right through Vicksburg. If you're in Vicksburg right now, probably feeling that wind really kick up at the surface. All of that is feeding into this supercell that is embedded into this line of other supercells, and with that, on velocity here, we're seeing a very impressive couplet here. So would not be surprised if this tightens up a little bit to see the National Weather Service here go ahead and drop that tornado warning out for that. And looking at debris, luckily nothing, on the ground right now, no signs of a tornado, but definitely signs this storm could get there. And boy, oh boy, if we look further south of there, crossing the Mississippi River Valley as well, kind of here near Clayton, Louisiana, Dumbarton, if that's how you say that town name in Louisiana. Definitely seeing some very big hail right now, likely out in that way. All right. Hello from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are in Vicksburg, definitely make sure you're thinking about kind of, the nearest place you can get into shelter, because you got quite a feisty storm, especially if you're on the north side of town. If you're north of Vicksburg here, kind of right along the, let me pull up my map here, see what interstate this is into Vicksburg. I-20, again, funneling right through Vicksburg here. If you're north of I-20, kind of up near Redwood, Mississippi here, again, just north of Vicksburg, definitely a big-time storm rolling on in here, and seeing some large hail here near Eagle Bend, right there on the border of Mississippi and Louisiana. And again, looking at velocity, still seeing that couplet there showing up. So we've got to watch that and kind of watch where this couplet goes. Likely, again, to cross right between Vicksburg and Redwood, Mississippi here, going into the next 20 or 30 minutes. So really got to watch that as we continue ahead here over the next couple of minutes. So again, this storm kind of came, racing out of Louisiana and into Mississippi, moving pretty quickly. Right now, I think, again, damaging winds, the biggest threat, likely not a tornado on the ground currently. And the way I can tell that is just the overall shape of this. You'll notice the hook that we're talking about is very linear right now. So likely seeing very strong winds punching in behind. And let me pick a different color, because you probably can't see that red very well. Let's see what color might show up a little bit better here. Maybe black. Yeah, I guess black shows up a little bit better. We'll try black. Again, though, anyway, right now the storm's looking pretty outflow dominant. So what I mean whenever I say outflow dominant is, again, we're likely seeing very strong winds at the surface coming out of the storm. So that may, help prevent tornado genesis a little bit here, but this could very easily wrap up. It does not take much for that to happen, and we could very easily see a tornado form here and kind of cross just north of Vicksburg there. So definitely watching that. Again, severe thunderstorm warning out for this area right now. This is for central Madison Parish in northeast Louisiana, Warren County in west central Mississippi, and northwestern Hinds County in central Mississippi, and then southeastern Issaquena County, I believe, in west central Mississippi. Is probably how you say that. If that's not how you say that and that's where you live, I'm sorry, and please let me know. Always down to learn local dialect a little bit better here. All right. Let's also kind of move back here towards Alexandria, Mississippi. Again, seeing a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings pop up. These are all the red boxes. If we get a tornado warning, that will be a pink box on your map. So just to kind of give you a little bit of color coordination there and what we're expecting. Are things going to hold together when they get to the South Carolina Midlands? Great question, CJ. We talked about this a little bit earlier. We go ahead and talk about it again here right now while we're still tornado warning lists back into Mississippi and Louisiana. Again, this big cluster of storms, this big line of storms will continue. I'm going to change the color again now that we're on a different map. Will continue to push off towards the east throughout the next 24 to 48 hours. And sure enough, will definitely hold together by the time we're getting into sections of South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, also seeing some of these storms. So again, moving this ahead a little bit here, going into kind of our rest up tonight and into early tomorrow morning. If you're waking up tomorrow morning into the Carolinas, likely just some pretty steady rain for a lot of folks during the morning hours, but that will change pretty quickly. We likely get a bit of a break as that warm air advex northward, pushing some of that, just kind of good old-fashioned rain further north into upstate South Carolina and into western North Carolina, where we continue to have that cold air kind of funneling in here. So that's where we're likely going to see the shield of rain. But where this kind of shield of rain matches up with this line of thunderstorms, that is where we really have to be careful in this warm sector for the chance of some strong storms with the potential to produce a tornado or two tomorrow afternoon. So going into tomorrow afternoon, that's likely crossing through Pickens County, Oconee County, Anderson County, and much of upstate South Carolina, crossing on through there and eventually crossing through the Midlands of South Carolina, likely by the time the sun has gone down. So if we do have that tornado threat persisting into tomorrow evening, definitely need to have a way to get those warnings, as you likely won't see it coming, as again we lose daylight just so early now. So definitely need to watch out for that tomorrow evening. All right, we've been going for almost an hour here, and we're up to about 10 viewers, so super cool to see 10 people listening in, good to see there. All right, we are getting some reports of some thunderstorm damage from law enforcement here near LaSalle, Louisiana. A few trees and power lines were down near the intersection of Nebo-Bello Road and Clyde Road here just south of Jenna, and kind of in between Nebo, Louisiana there. We're getting some of those reports. So could have been from a tornado, but likely I think at that point that was more some straight line winds we were seeing out there when that was occurring just really not that long ago, just about 30 minutes ago. So definitely watching out for that. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some of these storms now. Back here again towards Alexandria, Louisiana, another very impressive supercell kind of getting its act together. And you're welcome, CJ, of course. Again, this storm looking pretty impressive here. So watching this guy, this is going to kind of be moving just north of Gardner, Louisiana. The National Weather Service out here warning this storm for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-size hail. So again, definitely very capable of seeing some of that stuff, happening right now. Very dark skies in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Yeah, that definitely checks out here on radar. Again, this storm in Vicksburg, I think luckily right now, we're going to let radar load here. Yeah, still, definitely having that potential for maybe some tornado genesis. But right now, it really looks like a damaging wind threat for sure. Very strong gust front kind of pushing out on the front end of the storm here. So if you're in Vicksburg, expect those winds to really pick up, that rain to pick up, maybe even a little bit of hail to fall here. Again, likely within the next 10-15 minutes, moving on through Vicksburg, maybe even sooner than that, going into the next couple of minutes here. So definitely watching out for that. All right, taking a sip of water there. A lot of talking. Well, actually, there we go. Looks like we now have a new tornado warning. So let's go ahead and talk about that. This, again, looks to be definitely a tornado warning. Yep, sure enough, we now have a tornado warning for a couple parishes in Louisiana here. So northeastern Grant Parish in north central Louisiana and northern LaSalle Parish in north central Louisiana. Again, this area just got hit with a strong thunderstorm not that long ago, and now seeing a tornado warning once again for some of these communities. So let's take a look at velocity here, kind of see where they're warning that for. And sure enough, yeah, definitely seeing the potential of some rotating winds in here, and that definitely has the potential to produce a tornado with this storm as that continues to move off very quickly to the northeast at about 55 or 60 miles an hour. So again, very likely seeing that rotation here, and taking a look right here is likely where we're seeing a tornado. If we are seeing one right now, could be on the ground here, just kind of a couple miles north of Antonia, Louisiana, off to the northeast of Dry Prong, Louisiana. Also seeing this rotation. We look at correlation coefficient here. Not seeing any debris on the ground right now, but again, definitely need to watch this storm as it has the potential to produce a tornado here. Through many of these communities. So again, this is kind of where we're seeing that rotation here right into the heart of the storm. So if we do have a tornado on the ground right now, you're likely not going to see it in these areas. And again, just to zoom out and kind of familiarize ourselves a little bit here, this is going to be just kind of south of the Tulos, Louisiana area, south of Georgetown, Louisiana, and north of Antonia, Louisiana. So again, definitely looking through this area for that chance of, a tornado on the ground. The latest warning says currently radar indicated rotation, so not confirmed by law enforcement or any storm chasers on the ground currently, but definitely need to watch that potential. And again, that rotation that we're seeing kind of in here, going to be right into the heart of this storm here. That's going to overlap into a very, heavily congested part of the storm in terms of rain that is falling right now. So, don't go outside looking for this thing. You're not going to see it, but it will definitely come find you. So, again, got to be very careful with this storm as it continues to develop and mature here. All right, sorry, I'm reading some of these comments right now, so just give me 1 second, folks. All right, got about 15 people watching right now, and again, the thing that all eyes are on right now, and we actually have another tornado warning now, so this is starting to get to that point here where things are going to get a little bit crazy, folks. So let's go ahead and take a look at this new tornado warning. This one, again, crossing the Mississippi River here into, from Louisiana into Mississippi. We're seeing this new storm begin to kind of have signs of life here and maybe the chance of a tornado as well. Again, this storm in here near Faraday, Louisiana, crossing into sections of Mississippi is going to be near Church Hill, Mississippi here soon. Red Lick, Mississippi, McNair, Mississippi, Stanton, Mississippi, all in this tornado warning. And again, we're seeing a lot of rotation in this storm, very strong updrafts. We're seeing very large hail with this thing as well. So right now we're getting from the the National Weather Service here, hazards are tornado and golf ball sized hail. So anybody in this tornado warning, even if you're not hit by the potential of a tornado, very strong winds and very large hail moving on through here. Again, golf ball sized, definitely running the risk here of some damage as this storm moves on through. So again, we got two different tornado warnings here right now. These pink boxes on your screen, those are tornado warnings. Red boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings. So those red boxes, likely not seeing a tornado currently, but definitely some strong winds, large hail. In the pink boxes, though, you need to be in your safe place here. Likely the best place to do that in this part of the country is going to be in your basement. If you do not have a basement, interior room with no windows is going to be the safest place to be as these storms roll on through. And again, very strong winds with these storms, even if you're not directly hit by a tornado, plenty of very strong winds. So Again, taking a look at velocity with this kind of storm here, a bit of a mess here, honestly. So it looks like we've got probably a couple different places competing for circulation, but right now, if we're seeing a tornado, likely right here is going to be where we're seeing that tornado. And we take a look at correlation coefficient here. Again, just a lot of mess in here as there's a lot of hail falling. So if there is a tornado, we're likely not going to see it very well on radar just because of these big chunks of ice kind of floating around in this storm. And again, you can see that with these very bright colors showing up on radar here. Plenty of large hail falling with this storm. All right, so again, 2 tornado warnings, both of these capable of producing a tornado. Looking at velocity, a bit messy on both of them, but definitely, the chance of a tornado, especially with this storm here near Clayton, Louisiana, crossing the border into Mississippi right now, has the best shot of seeing a tornado right now. And again, even if you don't see a tornado, very large hail just moved through Clayton, Louisiana into Church Hill, Mississippi. That hail core is going to move next, likely near Waterproof, Louisiana. Up near Rodney, Mississippi, likely to also see some very large hail out of this storm. Seeing some heavy rain in Vicksburg. Yeah, definitely. I can imagine with this, again, this storm out here crossing the Mississippi River into Vicksburg right now. Still seeing that severe thunderstorm warning. Kind of load the latest radar data here. Download recent data, see if that does it for us. Run on a little bit of old data here. Not quite sure why this radar site is behind. Might just have to use the other site for now. But again, yeah, definitely a pretty big storm moving into Vicksburg there. Seeing plenty of heavy rainfall, likely some hail. Let me know if you're seeing some hail, definitely. And likely some pretty heavy winds as well. All right, again, seeing some severe weather here, really all along this line of storms, crossing from Texas into Louisiana, and then also crossing from Louisiana into Mississippi currently. So, kind of zooming this out a little bit. Again, you'll notice this entire line of storms stretching all the way down from near the Texas Gulf Coast into Mississippi, and all along that is where we're seeing these strong storms. And just about this entire line is producing gusty winds, embedded areas of large hail, and also seeing some shots at a couple tornadoes here as well, defined by our pink boxes here on the map. Again, if we're seeing a tornado out here with this storm that's kind of crossing into Mississippi right now, just going to be really about to cross the river right now, just to the south and east of Clayton, Mississippi, or excuse me, Clayton, Louisiana, into Mississippi. So again, going to go ahead and circle that area of some of the tightest rotation here on your map. It's going to likely cross off near Churchill, Mississippi. So if you're in Churchill, definitely be getting to your safe place right now. And again, that's going to be an interior room without any windows, going to be the safest place to be as these storms roll on through. Also seeing some signs of rotation back off towards the south and west here, kind of a little bit closer to Alexandria, Mississippi, Louisiana. I'll get the state right here eventually. Again, definitely seeing some rotation embedded in some of these storms out here. So really need to watch that, especially down here. This storm really starting to get quite a bit of a hook echo on it. Again, this storm is going to be near Rose Pine, Louisiana, getting pretty impressive supercellular shape here. So gonna have to watch that, guys. That continues to move into this very unstable, moist, high wind shear environment. Read some of the comments here. All right, still again watching these tornado warnings out here in Louisiana and Mississippi currently, the states we're seeing those. Continuing to watch that again. In other news, I think we've got the webcam back up and working, so that is good. We should be able to keep that around for maybe another hour before it eventually dies on me again. So again, I apologize about that. But this is the first time we've live streamed, so going to definitely be plenty of hiccups here along the way. Alrighty, if you're just joining us, again, just to remind you kind of what we're looking at here, plenty of severe thunderstorms, including some tornado-producing storms here through a big chunk of Louisiana and into Mississippi as well, going into the next couple of hours. So this should continue, and again, likely moving into Mississippi through the overnight hours. So just to kind of refresh you here a little bit with what we're seeing as a whole for tonight's forecast. Again, we already have some tornado warnings ongoing, but to take a look at what we're expecting tonight and to the day one outlook, again, that tornado threat likely going to be highest here into sections of central Louisiana where we're seeing it right now, and then also into sections of south central Mississippi, kind of now near Jackson. We have a 10% hatched area from our Storm Prediction Center friends for tonight. Excuse me. So again, this will continue through the overnight hours, and we'll definitely have to watch that to continue into the overnight. And again, another shot at severe weather, once again flaring up tomorrow afternoon from Alabama all the way through the Carolinas. So this is only day one of a multi-day event that is really impacting a lot of Thanksgiving travel for a lot of folks. Again, I know a lot of people, obviously travel this time of year, traveling from one place to another very far away. So all thanks to this big storm system, even if you're not driving through severe weather, you're likely going to be driving or flying through some rain, maybe even some snow if you're up into the Northeast. So a very dynamic November system here unfolding. And with all of that starting really right now with these very strong storms rolling on through Louisiana currently. And again, currently two separate tornado warnings here into sections of Louisiana and also Mississippi. One back here towards Jenna, Louisiana, near Searcy, Louisiana. Kind of two separate cells here that are kind of fighting each other a little bit for some of that inflow. But taking a look at velocity, again, definitely seeing some rotation with these storms as they are continuing to roll on through. But the bigger storm right now is likely going to be this one back here, crossing the Mississippi River from Louisiana into Mississippi. So again, very impressive storm here, continuing to cross the border. And I know you can't see right now, but I'm currently looking at feed from some storm chasers. And a lot of people on this storm kind of crossing into it. A lot of lightning with this storm. So if you're near, Port Gibson, Mississippi, down here near Natchez, Mississippi, Churchill, Mississippi, and you're looking out towards the direction of the river back towards Louisiana, you're likely getting quite the light show right now as this thing continues to really ramp up and feed into all of this open space to the south. So again, plenty of room for instability to continue to drive northward here, continue to fuel this storm. Again, plenty of ingredients here for the storm to likely produce a tornado, which it very well could be right now, and if it's not, very likely going to here pretty soon. So again, a very large mesocyclone spinning here as we continue to see on radar. See if the National Weather Service here has any update for us on this storm. Source is still radar indicated rotation, so from what we're aware right now, still no storm spotter on the ground and or law enforcement seeing any tornado currently, but there's just so much wind energy in the storm right now, such a strong mesocyclone that we're seeing very likely could see a tornado here pretty soon as these, as this continues to wrap up as it's crossing the Mississippi River here. So again, a very important storm here to watch. Also, you folks up near Vicksburg just had a pretty nice storm roll on through. Likely some large hail with that one, some damaging straight line winds as well. Very possible as that storm kind of rolled on through. Alrighty, unfortunately, I'm not sure why our Jacksonville radar site is, or Jackson, not Jacksonville, sorry. Not sure why our Jackson radar site isn't updating. Let me see if that's maybe just on my end right now, or if that's kind of on multiple applications here. Let's see. It looks like it's updating on the others, so might just need to give that a second. Okay, I think it's relatively up to date now. So, but yeah, again, back towards Vicksburg, I just had a pretty big time storm roll on through. Good news, though, is once these storms kind of roll on through, relatively speaking, now not 100%, but overall, things should begin to improve pretty quickly for a lot of folks. So kind of back here towards northwestern Louisiana, much of East Texas, and much of western Arkansas, you're kind of in the all clear here. It's really the folks that haven't had the storms move through yet that really need to be on their guard for things to go downhill here relatively soon. Alrighty. Again, if you're just joining us, currently have a couple tornado warnings out there. And also, if you're just joining us, let me know where you're watching from, what you're seeing out there. We were nice enough to have somebody join in from Vicksburg and kind of give us some live on-the-ground reporting. So very grateful for that. Also, if you're interested, and I normally don't plug this, but I'm going to anyway, just because this is the first live stream, you do have the ability to donate to the channel. So kind of down in the chat box, there should be kind of you should see the option there to add a super chat or a super sticker. What that does is that allows you to donate to the channel and you know, have some privileges with that as well. Maybe get your comment pinned to the live video and some other things. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely consider doing that. It goes a long way in helping me continue to run the channel, as this does take some time to do, and as you can imagine, a lot of equipment and software that, you know, I probably you know, have spent a little bit too much money on. But anyway, again, don't feel pressure to do that. Just figured I would go ahead and mention that while we're here. All right. All right. Getting some, again, some very big hail likely moved through with this storm out here. That's, again, moving into Mississippi right now. I think probably upwards of ping pong size, maybe even golf ball size, potentially a little bit larger than that. Radar returns here as the storm was crossing the river. You notice we had some very bright colors, even some whites showing up there for a second as this thing moved right over Clayton. So if anybody from Clayton happens to be watching, definitely let me know how big that hail got, because I'm sure it had to have gotten pretty large there for a lot of folks. Also kind of in a little bit of a radar hole here, unfortunately. So kind of having to fight off data between our Jackson and our Alexandria radar sites. So kind of unfortunate. But once the storm moves a little bit further into Mississippi, kind of near Hazelhurst there, Mendenhall, Mississippi, likely going to get a little bit better data on this storm. So definitely hoping that you know, we can get that. Also, though, kind of here relatively soon, if not already, the sun should be setting in this part of the country. Here in Charlotte, it is already pitch black outside, and it's only 5:45. So I'm sure a lot of you are probably still adjusting to that. I know I am. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you like more. Do you like going spring forward in the spring or falling back in the fall? Definitely would love to kind of hear you know, your thought process there on which one you enjoy a little bit more. Personally, I really don't know. I kind of, I don't know. It really depends. I'm not sure I'm a fan of either one. I'm not sure I'm a fan of having to adjust to a whole hour different every time we change seasons. Definitely this year it has felt even a little more difficult than normal to kind of get used to. Yeah, looking at current radar, not seeing anything too crazy impressive, at least in the tornado department with this storm here. Either way, though, again, whether we have a tornado or not, be prepared for some very strong winds and some large hail. Just here south of Waterproof, Louisiana, kind of an ironic name for right now, just coming down in buckets there, likely some hail as well. Very impressive hail core here. And again, now going into Churchill, Mississippi, Fayette, Mississippi, Red Lake, Mississippi, likely to get in on some very impressive rainfall rates as well as some large hail here over the next couple of minutes. So again, definitely have that thought in the back of your mind there. Alrighty, while we're continuing to watch radar there, I'm going to go ahead and pull up some other models to kind of see what we can expect through the rest of the night here in this area. So just give me 1 second while I pull that up. That's probably going to be the best map to use. All right. Yeah, I agree with you, CJ. I wish they would just pick a time and stick with it. That would make everyone's life a lot easier compared to the current route of just changing it up every couple months. So. Alrighty, let's go ahead and take a look now at kind of, oh, look at that, perfect. I'm back and functioning on this screen as well. Awesome. Alrighty, so let's take a look at kind of timing this out the rest of tonight a little bit. Again, this is kind of where we're at right now on the map. Again, seeing this big line of storms continuing to push on from Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas into Mississippi and Alabama. So this is that line of storms that we need to watch overnight tonight to continue to have the shot at producing a tornado or two. Definitely have a very realistic chance of that occurring. So going into the overnight hours, again, these storms move out of Louisiana into Mississippi and still have the chance of producing some tornadoes. The best shot of that, if I can get the map to go back to where it was just a second ago, there we go. The best shot of seeing those tornadoes are going to be right here into the southern tier of Mississippi. Really going to see the best overlapping there of some of that wind shear as well as some of that instability. So again, definitely need to watch that and kind of see where those ingredients overlap in real time, but expecting definitely southern Mississippi to have a good shot at that. And then eventually going later on into the overnight into southern Alabama. So again, we're going to have so much wind shear here that we don't need too much daytime heating. It definitely helps, but overnight still running that tornado threat into southern Alabama here. Look at all these discrete cells kind of popping up on our latest model, once again showing the chance at some rotating supercells into the overnight hours. All right, and then moving this ahead further into time, by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, again, still seeing some of that rain moving on through. I think the best shot at some severe weather tomorrow morning, again, likely kind of there in the Florida Panhandle, southeastern Alabama into southwestern Georgia before eventually going into tomorrow afternoon. We kind of get a redevelopment of that secondary line, if you will, right along the cold front, and that's when the severe weather threat then moves its eyes into upstate South Carolina, the Midlands of South Carolina, potentially into northern Georgia there as well, before that moves on through. And then on the back end of that, outside of maybe some leftover drizzle and a couple rain showers, we have a much nicer Wednesday in store for most folks. So again, just got to get through the next kind of 24 to 48 hours in this part of the country, and things will get much nicer going into Thanksgiving Day itself. In fact, we can probably go ahead and pull out that Thanksgiving Day forecast. I'm sure a lot of you are curious. I'll look at a national view here of Thanksgiving Day itself. Let's see. Today is Monday. That's day 1. Tuesday's day 2. Wednesday's day 3. Day 4 should be, yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, just open this in a new window. It'll be a little bit easier to see probably. Or not, and I'll just have to move the whole thing. Let's see if we can. There we go. Should be a little bit easier to see there. Okay. All right. So again, Thanksgiving Day itself, overall, I'd say a pretty average Thanksgiving Day. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It's definitely, kind of pretty good zonal flow here. So through much of the southeast here, temperatures likely only getting into the 50s, 60s. Again, about what you would expect this time of year for Thanksgiving. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Definitely cooler temperatures, I think, into the northeast and into the northern tier of the country. But as a whole, really about what you can kind of hope for Thanksgiving. So definitely looking forward to that. Should be a pretty good day. Let me know what plans you have for Thanksgiving. Maybe you're going to see some family. Maybe you're having family over. Let me know what you're cooking. Always good to hear Always, probably my favorite part of Thanksgiving is definitely being with family, and also eating food is always good. So that is, something I'm looking forward to. Alrighty, back to some of the severe weather we're seeing right now. Again, kind of looking at radar here, and also I'm sorry I'm looking down. I'm using my phone to read chat as well as use some other radar apps I have just to kind of confirm what I'm seeing on here. Yeah, unfortunately we're kind of in between radar zones here, so radar is very messy to look at right now, but looking at velocity, though, definitely, plenty of rotation in there. I think we're kind of just seeing a couple different areas having to compete for that main circulation. If we look at correlation coefficient, yeah, we're getting unfortunately, some pretty big blockage. So, yeah. And as you can see here, radar's kind of struggling to kind of see through something here. So it's making it a little difficult to kind of read what we're seeing on radar, but nonetheless, a tornado warning in effect. So anytime you see that, National Weather Service is confident enough that there's the potential for tornado. And it looks like this warning is still radar indicated rotation, so still nothing being seen on the ground, but a lot of that rotation we're seeing is very deep into this mesocyclone. So likely a lot of rain, a lot of hail falling around that, making it very difficult for any storm spotters, any law enforcement to really spot this thing on the ground. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this Vicksburg storm again. And again, you'll notice a pretty impressive storm here. This thing moved on through Vicksburg, Mississippi, and now kind of pushing off to the east of there and continuing to move on through Mississippi at this time. Again, taking a look at velocity, very strong winds here on the side of this storm. So I imagine they probably have, let's see what they're warning it for. Not quite sure. It's not loading. But either way, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to see that strong wind here. I mean, a very impressive kind of bow echo shape with this storm. You'll notice here on the front end, this kind of curve. That curved look, what that comes from is very strong outflow on the storm. So this is where we get inflow into the storm on the front end, but the outflow on the backside, we're getting a very strong push of that outflow, and that is, as you can tell, pushing this section of the storm where all these rain droplets radar's picking up on really quickly ahead of the storm. And you see that on velocity just as well. Look at this big punch of green here showing us those very strong winds. So if you're out here kind of, near Brownsville, Mississippi, get ready because that wind is coming quick. Near Pocahontas, Mississippi, Flora, Mississippi, again, very strong winds. And north of there is where we're seeing the hail. So if you're out near Phoenix, Mississippi, maybe a little bit less of a wind threat and more of a hail threat. So this storm likely not producing a tornado right now, but still bringing impacts that are just as important to be aware of. So definitely watching that storm there. Again, this storm further to the south, moving on, kind of crossing the border into sections of Mississippi now. Really just a big supercell here. A lot of hail falling with this guy, likely some strong winds. Tornado, very possible as well. Again, we have a tornado warning here. Unfortunately, though, just hard to kind of see what is happening on the ground here with all that rain. The sun is going down in this part of the country now. Yeah, but nonetheless, very strong winds and a very large hail falling at this moment. See, I'll check Twitter real quick, see if we've got anybody reporting anything on the ground with that one. Yeah, not seeing anything too crazy right now in terms of reports on the ground, so definitely looks like some pretty impressive wall clouds with that storm, from what I'm seeing on Twitter. Alrighty. Let's kind of take a look back at some more of these Louisiana storms now. If I can find the radar side at least. Here we are. What is the website I use? Great question. So for radar right now, I'm using GR2 analysis. So it's not a website. It's a piece of software. It's an application that's kind of showing radar here. But if you're wanting something a little easier to access, Radar Scope is a great app. It does cost a little bit of money, but it's really worth it. It allows you to look at velocity, base reflectivity, correlation coefficient, all the things you would really need. So Radar Scope's a great one. A lot of people like Radar Omega for radar. That's a good app a lot of people use there. As for the other one, in terms of like the forecasting stuff, I'm using Pivotal Weather. That one also costs money, but I definitely like Pivotal Weather. If you're looking for a free option very close to that, Tropical Tidbits, run by Levi Cohen or Cowan. I think Cohen probably is how you pronounce his last name. I probably should know that, but I don't. A great guy though. I think he's got a doctorate now from FSU, so he's created that website and doing some really great things with it. So that's a really great option to use in terms of just looking at the forecast models. Okay, new tornado warning now, and this one is in a place you don't want to see one. Right here over the heart of Alexandria, Louisiana, now under a tornado warning. National Weather Service warning this for radar indicated rotation and hazard tornado here. So obviously flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. So here's a storm. This is quite the storm that we're seeing here now unfold. And again, very impressive kind of hook echo once again showing up here on the backside, and that inflow coming in on the southerly side. So all of this warm, unstable Gulf air funneling into this storm system, allowing it to grow into a very impressive mesocyclone. And because of that, we've got that tornado warning now. So, yep, sure enough, we're definitely seeing some rotation here just north of Alexandria, Louisiana, seeing that rotation. Definitely not a good look on radar here. Not what you want to see. Good news is radar is very close to the storm, so it's a little bit easier to see. Just north of Alexandria, Louisiana, likely where we're seeing the highest likelihood of a tornado here. City itself looks relatively okay right now, but obviously you're in that warning and anything could happen. So you absolutely want to get to your safe place. Lowest floor of a building or the most interior room, preferably a little bit of both there. If you can get to the lowest, most interior room without windows, definitely where you want to be as the storm is moving on through. Again, likely if we are seeing a tornado on the ground, nothing confirmed right now, but if we are seeing one, it's going to be just north of Alexandria, Louisiana here, likely moving on towards Tioga, Louisiana, near Ball, Louisiana, crossing right here through the kind of northern sections of Alexandria, Louisiana, kind of the northern suburbs here, if you will. Absolutely need to be in your safe place here. All right, again, this is going across the US 71 highway here, right here near Tioga, Louisiana, north of Alexandria and Pineville, crossing through US 71 or US 167. Also US 165, likely to cross there near Ball, Louisiana. Definitely seeing a very impressive storm here. Tornado warning out for this guy. Again, radar indicated rotation. So this is definitely probably the most concerning, just off of population, tornado warning that we currently have out there. Definitely want to be in your safe place here. Of course, yes, definitely praying for Alexandria and really everybody that's going to be impacted by these storms overnight. And unfortunately, the reality of the situation is this is a part of the country that there's a lot of communities that are not quite as, economically fortunate as others. So it's just so important in this part of the country that we get those warnings out to everybody. So definitely make sure you're sharing this information if you know anybody in this part of the country. A lot of mobile homes here into Louisiana and Mississippi and as well as Alabama overnight. So again, really got to be careful. And it's unfortunate, but it's also just the truth for this part of the country. So again, this storm, the good news that I'm seeing right now, obviously we do have this tornado warning, but very similar to that kind of Vicksburg storm that we saw earlier, kind of more of a linear hook here. So what that means is we're likely a little less likely to see a tornado right now, and maybe just some strong straight line winds in here. Again, though, the National Weather Service does feel that we have enough information to put the tornado warning out, and if we're not seeing one right now, we very well could soon. So no matter what, make sure you're in that safe place. But as of right now, looking at velocity and all, it looks kind of like the storm might be a little bit linear in nature. And we'll definitely hope that continues and we kind of are able to get outside of some of that tornado effects. So let's take a look at correlation coefficient. No sign of a tornado on the ground right now in terms of not really seeing too much overlapping here of any kind of CC drop with any kind of rotation. So yeah, nonetheless though, very heavy rainfall, very strong winds. Looks like a particularly strong pocket of wind here just off to the north and west there of Ball, Louisiana. And again, that pocket of strong winds is continuing to move off, likely going to cross just north of Ball, Louisiana. But if there is a tornado, it's going to be in between that pocket and this red pocket to the south. So kind of in this corridor here on the northern side of this warning is where we're going to be most likely to see a tornado if it does form. I'm definitely watching that. All right, as for the other storm back here crossing into Mississippi, again, not seeing really all that much in terms of crazy tornado potential. Kind of doing a lot of what it's done. It's kind of cycled a lot here. So it's had moments of rotation, but nonetheless, it has always kept that threat of very large hail and some damaging straight line winds. So definitely need to watch that. But I think the bigger threat for tornado genesis right now, again, likely with this storm back near Alexandria, and just to the north of Alexandria, having the best shot right now of seeing the potential of a tornado to form here. Again, though, luckily, nothing jumping out to me here saying we have a tornado on the ground, so that's kind of the good news there. So 2 tornado warnings currently, both of which luckily are just radar indicated. So we're not seeing any confirmed tornadoes on the ground. That is definitely good news. The unfortunate thing though also is the sun is setting here. So although we may not have any confirmed tornadoes on the ground currently, it could also just very well be because no one can see it if it is there. So definitely need to have that in mind as well. Again, still also have the severe thunderstorm that moved through Vicksburg, Mississippi, now moving just north of Jackson, Mississippi, kind of in these northern suburbs. Again, very impressive straight line winds with this guy, as well as some pretty strong hail. So again, you can see this has continued to move off towards just north of Jackson, Mississippi. I'm going to look at velocity. Yep, sure enough, still very strong winds, coming in on the backside of this storm with this guy. Pushing ahead and bringing plenty of, again, very strong straight line winds. But luckily, not too much of a tornado threat with this storm. Definitely just some hail and some strong winds. And likely, honestly, the same story with this storm off to the south that we have the tornado warning on. There's definitely some pockets of very strong rotation here into the center of that storm. But I think a lot of that's just the mesocyclone kind of churning away here a little bit. But again, unfortunately, kind of getting some obstacles between this storm and the radar, so we don't have the best information on this storm right now. Just a whole lot of wind right now, likely some hail falling as well in that guy. Alexandria storm continuing to kind of look about how it has, so luckily not tightening up currently. Still looks relatively linear here in terms of that outflow. Definitely could be seeing, some rotation. You got to watch here in between. Right over ball kind of, I think, is the best place, or not the best place, but the worst place to be right now in terms of the potential of a tornado. Again, looking at velocity, again, seeing pretty impressive kind of area of spin here right over ball. Correlation coefficient, though, saying nothing on the ground right now. So definitely some good news there. Either way, though, if you're in ball, Louisiana, and areas, especially right off towards the east of there, you want to be in your safe place. So obviously we have that tornado warning out for a reason. Coming up on 6 o'clock Eastern time here, or I guess we've passed 6 o'clock Eastern time. So 5 o'clock here Central time. Again, sun going down. So all the storm chasers that are out there right now are going to become a lot, no offense to them, but a lot less useful here coming up very soon. We're really going to have to rely on a lot of radar data to get us through the night. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I don't want to, leave anybody out that might have a question that I could definitely answer. Right. Still seeing, again, a pretty strong mesocyclone here, likely just north of Ball, Louisiana. But I'm willing to bet, just from personal experience, there's probably not a tornado on the ground here. I remember back in earlier this year, I was storm chasing in northern Georgia, and there was a storm looking at radar coming up on it. I was like, there's no way there's not a tornado here. And then sure enough, I got there, and there was not a tornado. So that's kind of what this storm reminds me of a lot. Either way, though, again, tornado warning there for a reason. So no matter what, definitely take the National Weather Service's word for it. They are the professionals here who have a lot more education than really any of us combined. So yeah, let's see if we can get a little bit better data on this storm out here crossing into Mississippi. Excuse me. Yeah, again, a big supercell, just not really seeing too much in terms of rotation right now. It's just kind of a big messy storm. So I'm surprised my webcam hasn't died again yet. It's been going for like 30 45 minutes. It's pretty impressive. Wow, this storm up near Jackson, Mississippi, continuing to look pretty impressive on radar. Again, kind of out here all by itself, and you can tell it's it's definitely kind of pushing ahead of everything else. So likely again seeing, oh, there went the webcam. Sure enough, as I started talking about it. So give that some more time to figure its life out. Again, though, this storm out here near Jackson, Mississippi, continuing to show signs of pretty impressive structure. Very strong hail, likely, or very large hail, I should say, near Bentonia, Mississippi here, and kind of moving just in between Bentonia and Flora, Mississippi. Likely going to see very big hail moving on through here in just a second. So really within, probably right now, seeing that hail starting to fall, and will continue for the next little bit. Look at velocity on this storm, and yeah, again, still very strong bow echo signal here, indicating very strong straight line winds pushing ahead here into Brownsville, Mississippi, towards Pocahontas, Mississippi. So a lot of these kind of suburbs north of Jackson, Mississippi, are really about to get hammered, honestly, with some very strong winds and likely some large hail as well. So if you're kind of out here near Jackson, Mississippi, heads up, this is coming. Alright, starting to get a little bit of better radar data on the southern storm. Let's go ahead and look back at the Alexandria storm, see what's kind of happening there. Yeah, again, the Alexandria storm, obviously in a very populated area, so we want to, use every precaution here. But the good news is, from what I'm seeing on radar, still just relatively kind of, broad rotation here. Nothing too tight. But, of course, the tornado warning continues. And it looks like they just added a severe thunderstorm warning for the northern half of that storm. So, it's good that they're not expanding the tornado warning as of right now and just kind of expanding the severe thunderstorm warning. Definitely kind of some good news there. Still have another strong storm back here. Again, getting a pretty impressive hook echo on this one as well. This storm definitely starting to get that hook echo to form a little bit more here. You'll notice on radar, I know this is kind of looping a little fast, so I should probably stop moving it, but look at that kind of surge of kind of wind from the backside there, and still plenty of inflow into this storm as well. So definitely a bit of a hook forming on this guy, and this is going to be off to the south and west of Alexandria. No tornado warning on this right now, just a severe thunderstorm warning for most of it. Looking at velocity though, yeah, again, definitely you'll notice here's kind of that surge of wind into the storm, followed by some wind out of the storm. Gotta watch that one. That one's definitely showing some signs of life. Absolutely showing some signs of life there. Take a look at my other radar here just to see if they're kind of matching up a little bit. Yeah, sure enough there. Yeah, so definitely watching this storm. This one kind of out here just south of our radar site here. This is out near... really just right here into sections of western Louisiana, west central Louisiana, just southwest of Alexandria, showing some very interesting, yeah, definitely got to watch that. Absolutely need to watch that. So I would not be surprised to see a tornado warning issued here pretty soon with this storm. Again, nothing right now. This is just south of the radar site though. Let's go ahead and back this up a little bit. Yeah, look at that spin up pretty quick there. If you're in Leander or, yeah, there, and sure enough, there's a tornado warning just issued for this storm. Yeah, if you're in Leander, if that's how you say it, Hineston, Louisiana, get to your safe place. Likely seeing a tornado forming right in front of our eyes here. This is radar indicated currently. Southwestern Rapides Parish in central Louisiana, East Central Vernon Parish in West Central Louisiana, tornado warning for what is likely a tornado forming right now. So again, the tornado warning just issued right as I was kind of saying it was about to, and sure enough, here it is. Looking at correlation coefficient, this very well could be kind of the chance of a tornado on the ground right now. Looking at velocity, Not seeing anything right now. It's super screaming tornado, but definitely one of the more impressive storms right now. Also, good news for you folks back into Alexandria, Louisiana. That tornado warning just dropped for you folks. So, still severe thunderstorm warning ongoing, but the biggest kind of threat I'm seeing tornado-wise right here near our radar site. And again, near Leander and Hineston and Calcasia maybe, Melder under this tornado warning as well. But really, this kind of section right here I've got drawn out for you. That's where, if you're in that box, absolutely need to be careful, as we're continuing to see very strong signs of rotation with this storm, continuing to kind of wrap up, tighten up here. Again, very impressive supercellular structure on this guy. Outflow on one side, inflow on the other side. And whenever we overlap that with our base velocity, sure enough, you see that. You see those greens punching into the storm, those reds punching out. That tells me we're seeing a rotation here. So, very important stuff. Again, right now, still radar indicated. Nothing confirmed on this one, but I think this is definitely the most impressive storm we currently have in terms of tornadic potential. Yeah, definitely seeing some very impressive rotation there. Again, for you folks near Alexandria and that storm, again, we're seeing some rotation here with kind of this pocket of green, but this is less of an inflow-outflow rotation and more of just the mesocyclone spinning. So this is likely more of just a very strong updraft we're seeing kind of rotating right here off to the northeast of Alexandria. But off to the southwest of Alexandria, this new storm absolutely need to keep our eyes on. And if you're in any of these communities, again, let me name out these parishes one more time for you. Again, this is going to be for southwestern Rapides Parish in central Louisiana and east central Vernon Parish in west central Louisiana. Absolutely got to be on your guard, got to be in your safe place right now as this storm continues to show signs of a pretty strong rotation here as it continues to push off towards the really right now more towards the east than anything, but really east-northeast. So if you got any family out here in this part of the country, definitely let them know. Maybe send them a link to the live stream, or if not that, then just give them a call and let them know that there's a tornado warning near the area, and likely, if not producing a tornado right now, going to very soon. As you can see, this mesocyclone really beginning to spin up here. Again, this is one of two tornado warnings currently, but out of the two, I think this one has, signs of the most life of kind of tornadic potential right now. So definitely need to keep a very close eye on this storm. Again, if you're just joining us, currently dealing with a pretty big tornado threat through much of Louisiana right now, including two tornadoes right now, one in Louisiana, one in Mississippi, but the more impressive of the two is this one off to the southwest of Alexandria, Mississippi, seeing this tornado warning, and a very impressive supercell continuing to kind of spin away through this part of Louisiana. Yeah, and again, you can see that has definitely continued to tighten up here a little bit. And this is, again, if we're seeing a tornado, likely going to be right here, just to the south east of Hicks, Louisiana, off to the northeast of Fullerton, moving near and towards Leander, Louisiana. Again, I'll get the states right eventually. That's probably where we're seeing it. We'll take a look at correlation coefficient, see if we have any debris signature. Luckily, nothing right now screaming tornado on the ground in terms of the debris, but the rotation is definitely there and very capable of producing a tornado. Yeah, I mean, look at how that kind of just popped up and spun up. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, and boom. So the tornado warning issued pretty quickly as soon as that rotation popped up. So that's definitely good news. All right, so this is going to be likely to cross Louisiana Highway 112 here relatively soon near Hineston and kind of surrounding communities here. Definitely under the gun for the storm to move on through with the potential to produce a tornado. Very well could be a debris signature here. Yep, sure enough. Okay, this is absolutely a tornado on the ground. Yeah, we're okay. Absolutely seeing a tornado on the ground. Again, this is just off to the southwest of Leander. And yeah, look at this thing really cranking up now. Absolutely a tornado on the ground here. Again, likely going to cross Louisiana Highway 112 and eventually Louisiana Highway 121 near Hineston. So if you are not already in your safe place in Hineston, Louisiana, absolutely get there. Tornado on the ground, easy to see on radar here. This blue dot, that's our tornado. Sure enough, that's it, lofting up debris that it's picking up off the ground, kind of ejecting that back up into the atmosphere, and our radar beams are hitting that, and it's showing up as very large, pieces of debris here. So, again, absolutely tornado on the ground here this morning, likely to be changed to a confirmed, radar confirmed tornado now from the National Weather Service. Damaging tornado hazard. Impact flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. So again, if you're near Hineston, Leander, Cyper, Otis, Elmer, and Gardner, Louisiana, be in your safe place. This storm is coming with a tornado on the ground right now. And again, if you have any family out here, absolutely got to let them know about this storm as it's continuing to show signs of very dangerous nature. And this isn't all that far from Alexandria, Louisiana. So if you've got family out near Alexandria, let them know. They've already had one tornado warning. This is a second storm off to their south west here that is quickly gaining speed, quickly organizing, and just look at that kind of cinnamon bun shape here. Very tight hook here indicating rotation very strong in a very tight area, and we're getting a tornado on the ground because of that. So every radar scan here is very crucial. Back to correlation coefficient. Really going to be the best map to use, honestly. We just got to follow this blue dot, and that's where we've got the tornado. So we back this up a couple frames. Likely this thing kind of touched down on the ground. Looks like about, let's see, about 6:15, or excuse me, 5:15 local time is likely when this tornado touched down. So likely been on the ground for about 5 to 10 minutes now. Again, very quickly moving towards these local communities here that we've listed off. So absolutely got to be careful. Again, likely going to cross Louisiana Highway 121. This tornado is, again, still on the ground currently, continuing to move through. Just got to follow this little blue dot, and that's where we've got that tornado. So here it is, waiting every scan. Hineston, Louisiana, absolutely got to be careful. This thing is moving your direction quite quick. And again, going to cause some damage. This is a tornado on the ground, picking up things off the ground currently. This is radar confirmed. So this isn't just, we're seeing some rotation on radar. No, we are seeing every sign of a tornado on radar. And if you are in Hineston, Louisiana, absolutely have to get in your safe place. And I'll let you know when you can leave it. Just, turn your volume up. Take your phone with you. It's the beauty of technology now. It's very easy to take all these warnings with us. And again, just every sign of a tornado here. Wanting to see this very tight couplet on radar showing up on base velocity, or excuse me, base reflectivity. And now we move that to velocity, and there again, that very tight couplet of rotation showing up. And then we take a look at correlation coefficient, and sure enough, debris being picked up and thrown all around in the air and being picked up there. So again, just all signs of a tornado. Hineston, Louisiana, absolutely have to be in your safe place right now. And if you got family out there, please, let them know. Call them, text them, do whatever you have to do. Again, it's November. We're not in April, so maybe not everybody necessarily all the way on their guard. It's a busy week, busy holiday week. The weather might not be on everybody's mind, but as we've been talking about for really the whole past week now, this storm threat had the chance to happen, and sure enough, it's unfolding now, and we're seeing a tornado on the ground because of it. So again, radar confirmed tornado. Seeing if we've got any storm chasers near this one. This one's kind of a little bit further back. There's really not all that many storm chasers out in this part of Louisiana currently. So again, looking at the evolution of this, I wouldn't say it's necessarily getting any stronger or weaker, just kind of holding steady right now. So we can definitely hope that this weekends, but it's this part of the storm is what we got to watch. This kind of couplet here, and we got to watch how that moves off towards Hineston, Louisiana. And again, at this point, it looks like all but a direct hit likely to occur here. Again, I mean, look at this outflow on one side, very strong inflow on the other, and right there in between them, that's where we're getting this tornado. All right, radar scan as of a minute ago. Still seeing this tornado on the ground here. Again, very likely to kind of cross right here in between Linder or Leander, again, probably butchering the town name, but that and Hineston, Louisiana, likely to see this tornado cross right in between the two and then potentially right into downtown Hineston. After that, honestly, the kind of southern suburbs here of Alexandria under the gun for this storm here in the long run. Not under a tornado warning right now. Places like Willow Glen, Chambers, Woodworth, some of these bigger communities near Alexandria, not under a tornado warning right now, but this storm still very likely to move that way very soon. Again, this entire warning box, if we kind of just expand it out a little bit, likely to go kind of right here in between or right through the southern suburbs of Alexandria, Louisiana. Another radar scan, and it's still showing all signs that we've got a tornado on the ground. Yeah, still getting this debris ball. Looks a little less defined than maybe we had a couple minutes ago, but again, still likely on the ground here. And these storms, they do cycle all the time, so it's very possible this tornado might pick up off the ground for a second and then immediately throw itself right back on the ground. So if you're in Hineston, Louisiana, absolutely have to be in your safe place, as we very likely have a tornado on the ground moving into that community really within the next couple minutes. So if you're right here kind of on the southwestern side of the city, definitely going to see that tornado cause some damage, rip up some things. And again, sun setting in this part of the country right now, so don't go outside looking for this thing, because it's not gonna, or you're not gonna find it, but it's absolutely gonna find you. And it's a very harsh reality. Again, pretty wooded area, very swampy state Louisiana is, even this far north, still very kind of flat and wooded. So you got to be very careful with the terrain here. All right, very quickly zooming out. Wow, I mean, yeah, just look at that thing. Absolutely, definitely the most impressive storm we've had of the day so far. Again, it's about 5:30 local time. Very strong outflow on one side, very strong inflow on the other. Those two combined, absolutely causing this rotation in between. And that tornado, again, about to move right through Hineston, Louisiana. So I know I've said this about 1,000 times now, but if you got family out in this part of the country, absolutely let them know. Call them, text them, fax them if you have to. I don't really care what form you use here, but absolutely have to. Yeah, looking at the progression of the storm, yeah, really just kind of wrapped up here really tightly within the past 30 minutes or so. The second it crossed just south of this radar site, so we're lucky it's so close to this radar site right now. It's making it pretty easy on us to, find this rotation, see where it's happening. And here's that tornado now crossing this state highway just off. Same state highway Hineston is on, crossing that state highway now. Again, this is Louisiana State Highway 121, and then likely Louisiana State Highway 112 into Hineston itself going to be the next place this tornado crosses. Alrighty. All right, got the webcam back here, so. Again, still likely seeing, luckily, the correlation coefficient is showing signs that this tornado might be cycling right now just a little bit, and if so, this is at the perfect time, again, right before it gets into Hineston here, so absolutely watching that. This is what was the tornado, may very well still be, but this kind of green-yellow area has kind of tracked back multiple miles here to the point it is now crossing this Louisiana State Highway, and again, only hope that people there got the warning that were on that roadway. Again, there's still a very impressive supercell here continuing to rotate. I do need to zoom out a little bit, see if we have any other. Yeah, still have this tornado warning down into sections of Mississippi, into some of these southern counties. Let's take a look at that storm really quickly. Yeah, this storm definitely looking more and more impressive. Yeah, okay, so we very well could have two separate tornadoes. Still radar indicated rotation on this guy. Let me take a look at velocity. And yeah, we're again definitely seeing some pretty strong velocity here, very strong rotating of the winds. Again, if we are getting a tornado with this storm, very likely kind of right here just north of Union Church, Mississippi, seeing that tornado. Again, just radar indicated right now, and if you're not seeing a tornado, you're definitely seeing strong winds and some large hail at the very least, but very well could be a tornado as well here just north of Union Church, Mississippi. Also still seeing that very strong thunderstorm north of Jackson, Mississippi. Not too much of a tornado potential with that one, but still very large hail and damaging straight line winds. But again, out of all the storms right now, really the biggest concern should be on the storm just off to the southwest of Alexandria, Louisiana. And again, still seeing, here's that outflow on one side, and here's that inflow kind of creeping in on the other. And that is definitely leading to the potential still of a tornado. Again, if a tornado is on the ground right now, it's likely moving right through Hineston, maybe just off to the west of Hineston. Likely pretty wooded area back there. So again, likely probably still picking up some trees here. Also, another storm off to the northeast of Alexandria. This one, not a tornado warning on it right now, but a severe thunderstorm warning. Seeing some strong winds with this one as that continues to push off to the east. Good news is for you folks back kind of into western Louisiana, definitely in the all clear now. A lot less of a threat of any kind of severe weather, which is definitely some good news there. Definitely some good news. All right. Sorry, I'm going to eat a bit of a snack while we do this. I've been going for 2 hours now, so probably already gone a little bit longer than I expected to go, but seeing some pretty active weather right now. Again, tornado warning currently, and very possibly a tornado on the ground right here near Hineston, Louisiana. And again, this storm really just kind of started to spin up just south of the radar site out here before it eventually, really began to consolidate here right before it got into Hineston. Good news is right now it looks like it might be cycling a little bit. So again, definitely still seeing plenty of rotation there. But in terms of correlation coefficient, less of a defined tornado signature. But again, that rotation still happening right here over Hineston itself. So absolutely still need to be in your safe place. Again, if you're just joining us, let me know where you're watching from, kind of what you're seeing out there as we kind of deal with the storm system, not just in Louisiana, although that's where most of the severe weather is happening right now, but on a national scale here, we're seeing this big storm system continue to turn away over much of the United States. All right, so just to recap a little bit here for anybody that may have missed kind of what's going on. Again, we've been forecasting this big time storm system for at least a week now, and sure enough, here we are, and it is unfolding. So, because of that, we're definitely running into the. Sorry, I had to fix that. We're running into the consequences of that storm system unfolding the way it is. So again, big time low pressure system spinning away over sections of Kansas, really right over Kansas City right now. And because of that, we're getting a whole lot of wind energy overlapping with some very, unstable air out of the Gulf of Mexico. Excuse me. And that is leading to some big time severe weather concerns right now into Louisiana and Mississippi. Now that's the one threat we're dealing with. We're also just seeing a really big old shield of rain right now for folks up the Mississippi River Valley through Arkansas, wrapping around into this low pressure system itself, and that will move into the Ohio River Valley, as well as very gusty wind conditions. A lot of you folks out there probably seeing or hearing that wind whipping around, maybe knocking some lawn furniture over, maybe even some trees. So we're going to have a lot of power outage problems even outside of this severe weather that we're currently seeing back here towards Louisiana. So again, big time storm system for a lot of folks, and not just those of us seeing this severe weather into Louisiana and Mississippi. All right, the good news is this kind of tornado warning we have, again, just off to the southwest of Alexandria, Louisiana, kind of showing some signs that it may have cycled a little bit here, and probably less likely to have a tornado on the ground now than it was just 10, 15 minutes ago. Still plenty impressive enough for a mesocyclone and supercell, but in terms of tornado on the ground potential, I think we're a little less likely to have one right now. But no matter what, the storm has produced a tornado within the past 15-20 minutes, so you don't want to mess around with it. If you're in this tornado warning, absolutely still be in your safe place. Again, said it probably way more than I need to, but if you happen to just be joining me, let me know where you're watching from, and we can. Oh, looks like we now have a new tornado warning actually to discuss. So looks like new tornado warning just issued again. This is that storm I've been talking about out near Jackson, Mississippi. Looks like National Weather Service is seeing enough on their end to go ahead and produce this tornado warning. So this is going to be for a radar indicated rotation within this storm for northeastern Rankin County, northwestern Scott County, and southeastern Madison County, all in central Mississippi until 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. So got about an hour left on this warning as it was just issued. So taking a look at reflectivity here. Again, here's kind of, the core of the storm, or let me change my color so you can see that. Here's the core of the hail to the north. Here's that outflow to the south, and here's that inflow also kind of working in tandem. So likely, if we have a tornado with this storm, it's going to be spinning up right here along kind of this boundary here where we're seeing that inflow and outflow connecting. So right now it looks relatively broad, the rotation does, but obviously we do have a tornado warning, so need to be careful with that. And this is pretty populated area, again, just to the northeast of Jackson, Mississippi. And yeah, again, definitely, if there's a tornado on the ground currently, likely right in here where we're seeing these blues and greens really get close to each other. And that will continue here over the next little bit. Correlation coefficient, no signs of a tornado on the ground currently, but again, this storm has the potential to get there, so playing it safe and going ahead and issuing that warning now. The storm to the south of here, south of Jackson, Mississippi, kind of getting close here towards Hazelhurst, Wesson, Martinsville, Glancy, and just north of Union Church, Mississippi currently. Again, still showing some signs of life here. Could definitely see some of that rotation here just to the northeast of Union Church, Mississippi. Big time hook echo there, and a lot of rotation, just it's relatively broad still at this point, and I'm not seeing anything in correlation coefficient right now that screams tornado. It's still a radar indicated rotation warning. So good news for Alexandria, that tornado warning has been dropped for that storm, as it's kind of occluded a little bit, meaning just kind of spinning away and without the warm and the cold, just lost kind of some of that mixing of air masses there. So some good news there, and you can see that kind of on the velocity map a little bit. If we back that up a little bit, a couple frames, notice that was much tighter, but then eventually kind of more flattened out and got occluded behind the new, more just linear front. So definitely seeing that there with that storm, and we're happy to see it. Unfortunately, though, tornado definitely was on the ground there, so we're hoping for everybody that was involved in that everyone is okay and got the warning and wasn't affected by that tornado while it was causing damage. Alrighty, so that means now all of our tornado warnings are in Mississippi as we kind of slowly get through the night here, losing kind of some of those ingredients back towards Louisiana, and most of that's pushing into Mississippi now. So definitely good news for you folks in Louisiana, although again, still some severe thunderstorm warnings out there, and still some of those have the chance to get to tornadic strength. I'm probably going to go ahead and cut the stream here in about 15 minutes, about 7 o'clock. I do have a little bit of homework I still need to work on before I can truly enjoy my Thanksgiving break. So just kind of to give you a heads up there. Although there are plenty of other YouTubers streaming this, so do not fret. I'm sure you'll find somebody who's doing, honestly, a much better job than I. So that's the good news for you. I will say, though, this was the first stream we've done on the channel, and all things considered, I think it's gone pretty good. So far. So if you liked it, let me know. I think it was kind of fun to do. Been going again more than 2 hours now. It'll be about 2.5 hours by the time I cut it here in like 15 minutes. So yeah, I feel pretty proud. Went well. As for upload schedule this week, I'm really not sure, to be honest. I'll be home in South Carolina, so I won't have the same resources I do in Charlotte to record. So I'll definitely bring my laptop home with me, and should things get crazy, I'll upload a video. you know, if needed, but don't be super expectant of a video between now and this coming Sunday. So I will also be out storm chasing tomorrow, though, so make sure you're following me on Twitter if you don't already. The link for that is in the description of this video. If you go to social media links, you'll see the link for my Twitter there. I post a lot there when storm chasing. So again, be storm chasing in upstate South Carolina tomorrow. Kind of tailing the same, big storm system that's moving through sections of Mississippi and Louisiana right now. We'll eventually be working on through the Carolinas tomorrow, and I'll be out there tracking some of those storms with some limited but definitely notable tornado potential out that way tomorrow afternoon. All right, so again, with this current tornado warning, it's not the prettiest looking storm you've ever seen, but it definitely has the potential to be producing a tornado. And if it is, again, it's going to be right here along kind of this area, just off to the north east here of Madison, Mississippi, off to the south of Canton, Mississippi. Could very well be seeing some of that rotation. Looking at correlation coefficient, still nothing screaming tornado on the ground, which is good, obviously. We definitely like to see that. Yeah, so we'll hope that continues. Again, the storm further off towards the south of Jackson, Mississippi, a whole lot of rain, some hail falling with this one, maybe some rotation as well, or definitely some rotation. It's just right now it's such a broad area of rotation that I wouldn't be super concerned about a tornado being on the ground currently. Again, though, it has a very impressive hook echo with it. Just rotation still seems relatively broad to me in here. We'll see if it tightens up at all. Looking at correlation coefficient. Still nothing screaming tornado on the ground right now, so that's definitely good news. And then back towards, again, Alexandria, where we just had that tornado warning not too long ago. Things calming down back this way as well as that storm kind of cycles a little bit as well. And after this kind of line of storms we're seeing right now through Alexandria, you should be in the all clear. So I'd say by about 6:30, 7 o'clock local time, you really should be in the all clear in Alexandria, and especially points northwest of there, seeing much nicer weather. See if we have any new data from some of our models here. All right, yeah, so again, we're seeing these severe storms right now. Let me run you through one more time kind of what we're expecting through the rest of the night here before I kind of end things and wrap them up a little bit. So again, obviously right now we have a couple tornado warnings to worry about, but the good news from what I'm seeing, obviously if you're in these tornado warnings, get in your safe place. But things still relatively quiet with these storms. I'm not seeing any crazy, confirmed tornadoes on the ground or anything. This storm to the north of Jackson, again, definitely some rotation pretty tight in there. So you're going to want to be careful with this storm as that continues to push off to the north and east. And then for the storm south of there, kind of further south of Jackson, again, a lot of rotation with this guy. The good news, though, is a lot of that rotation, currently speaking at least, is relatively kind of just broad and just have a really large mesocyclone right now. So again, seeing that rotation in there, but nothing super tight. In fact, if anything, I'd be a little more concerned about a spin above a tornado with a northern storm just because we're seeing a little bit tighter rotation in here. But looking at correlation coefficient again on both, nothing screaming tornado on the ground for either one, but I think this storm south of Jackson, it's starting to it's shaping up a little bit better. You'll see it's a little less of just kind of a blob of precipitation and a little bit more of potentially seeing some of that hook echo really starting to wrap around. So we'll watch that. We'll see if anything happens with it. But yeah, so really quickly, again, let me run you through the rest of tonight, what we're kind of expecting here with the latest models. Again, a lot of these storms now are really pushing into Mississippi from Louisiana, and that will continue through the next couple of hours before eventually we get later on in tonight. And these storms are really all in Mississippi and then pushing into Alabama. So between really, I'd say about 8 o'clock local time and midnight local time, southern Mississippi going to be the hotspot for likely any leftover severe warnings and tornado warnings before midnight till about sunrise. Those warnings, if any, should then move into southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle before... Well, actually, I just realized you can't see anything I've been showing you. Oops, my bad. Let me back that up. Again, sorry. About 8 o'clock local time tonight till about midnight is when the activity will likely be centered over much of southern Mississippi before going into about midnight through 3 a.m. sunrise time. Most of that activity then moving off towards southern Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, before tomorrow afternoon we get another line of some severe weather to work into sections of North Georgia and the Carolinas, where once again we could see a couple tornado warnings, although likely, if any tornadoes, they should stay relatively weak. So that's kind of some good news there on that front. Yeah, this storm near Jackson, it's showing off a bit, that's for sure. Definitely seeing a very impressive hail core with it and some heavy rain. And some rotation in there. Yeah, definitely watching right in here. And again, you can't see what I'm showing you, so let me... my bad. Right in here is where we could definitely be seeing some of that rotation. Back this up a couple frames. Yeah, it's definitely... Yeah, it's tightened up a little bit in there. It's not so linear. It's a little bit less of a gust front look and a little bit more of a, hey, I want to produce a tornado look. So, we're watching that for sure. Yeah, just to the south of Canton, Mississippi here. Keep your guard up. This area is looking like it really kind of is getting close to producing a tornado. And if it does, that'll be moving kind of just south of Canton, south of Sharon, near Ludlow, if that's how you say that. Kind of in between Sharon and Ludlow, Mississippi. Right along this highway. And I'll get that highway name for you. Give me 1 second here to pull up my map. And this is... Looks like Mississippi Highway 25, kind of riding right along that corridor, in between Mississippi Highway 25 and Mississippi Highway 16, really where we're seeing the most of this rotation. Kind of near the Ross Barnett Reservoir and kind of the river that feeds into that up towards Wiggins and Carthage. So, yeah, this whole kind of area right in here, you gotta be careful as this rotation really ramps up some. Yeah, I'm really not liking the look of this. This is really starting to kind of really tighten up here. Still nothing on correlation coefficient, but yeah, really starting to get that look. And same kind of look down here south of Jackson as well, also kind of getting that look. Yeah, really got to watch out for some areas of tightening of the rotation kind of in here. Likely not far from Glancy, Mississippi. Again, this area under a massive tornado warning. It's a very big box. Let's see if any of these are getting to radar. Still radar indicated. So that's some good news. Nothing confirmed. We back this up a couple steps, and you can see the storm, 30 minutes ago had a very linear kind of hook to it, meaning, more of a just outflow dominant storm. But as we move this ahead, you'll notice that inflow notch really kind of ramping up in here, and that's what we got to watch out for. That's when things really start to get a little scary. So you know, definitely getting a little concerned. If you got family kind of here towards the northeast of Jackson, Mississippi, kind of near Sharon, Mississippi, Canton, back near Ludlow, Wiggins, Carthage, these kind of areas, right in this kind of circled area. Call them up, let them know. You know, this storm obviously already has a tornado warning, but it's starting to look like it's wrapping up even more. So I'm really starting to get that kind of spinning of winds, if you will. Also want to say thanks to all of you who have hung around. We've yet to hit 0 viewers at all, so we've had at least about 5 viewers for most of this thing. So obviously not any groundbreaking achievements here, but nonetheless very impressive, and I'm grateful for all of you for hanging in there with me. We've been going about 2.5 hours now, so I know I said I was going to end this at 7, but I want to watch this guy a little bit longer here, just to see what it does. And again, hail's a big thing too. If you're in Sharon right now, likely it's coming down in buckets with some relatively good sized hail, probably quarter sized, I'd say. Maybe a little smaller than that, depending on where you're at. Yeah, really starting to see this storm get into the process of tightening up. You can even see kind of this clear slots of sorts as that moist air kind of moves into the storm, and then again that outflow on the outside showing signs of life. Yeah, I mean, still, it's giving it its all. It's giving it its all. Oh, wow, this storm, really, yeah, down here, glancing. Also, really, again, starting to see that very impressive structure on radar. Take a look at velocity here. Yeah, definitely starting to show signs of really tightening rotation down here near Glancy, Mississippi as well. So both of these storms are really starting to get their act together here. And again, both these storms in Mississippi now. We've kind of moved out of Louisiana a little bit, and we're moving into Mississippi territory. And I gotta be careful of that. So, yeah, wow, yeah. Still nothing in correlation coefficient, but if you're in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, absolutely need to be in your safe place. Glancy, Mississippi, kind of this corridor in between. Very impressive hook echo showing up here on radar now. And again, very strong inflow here. I appreciate that, CJ, and thanks for hanging in there, watching the whole thing. It means a lot. And I'll try to do lives again in the future. Hopefully we get a good winter storm to kind of talk about live as it's happening. That could be fun, I think. And yeah, it's also kind of a nice change of pace from just sitting here talking to myself, which granted I'm still talking to myself right now, but this is at least a little more personable, I think. So that's nice. Yeah, this thing's really starting to wrap up here near Hazelhurst, Martinsville. Yeah, this is where you gotta watch out for, where this green and red are touching each other very closely right in here. Kind of where radar's picking up with that triangle shape as well. Take a look back at Alexandria real quick before we log off for the night. See if the radar data loads. Ah, there we go. Yeah, just kind of some severe storms here moving through Alexandria, especially the south side of the city. Probably some gusty winds there with that one. Maybe a little bit of hail as well, but more of a gusty wind threat. Alrighty. All right, again, so just right before I wrap things up here, 2 tornado warnings in Mississippi, one kind of south of Jackson, Mississippi, and the other off to the north east of the city. So both of these have tornado warnings, both capable of producing a tornado. Right now, I'd say the southern storm probably looking a bit more impressive than the northern one here on radar, at least. But no confirmed tornadoes out of either of these. So even if they are impressive on radar, also kind of trying to, maybe die off a little bit here. But either way, starting to definitely show signs of some strengthening, so need to watch out for that. Alrighty, well, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to a good old screen you're probably used to here and kind of close things out. Again, thanks y'all for watching. I do appreciate it. We went for about 2.5 hours here on the dot, so a little bit longer than I probably expected to go. If you're new here to the channel, definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. Definitely hit that like button and hit that bell for notifications. And again, in terms of video schedule this week, I really don't know. I'll be out storm chasing tomorrow, so probably not a video tomorrow unless I'm just feeling super motivated in the morning. Then I'll be home for Thanksgiving from then till next Sunday, so I'm going to be away from my equipment here. But I'll take my laptop, I'll take my microphone just in case some crazy stuff happens in the models, and I'll keep you updated on that. But anyway, with that said, again, have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you all next time.